Dust on the truck bed, mile after mile. Fields stretch out wide like they got a mind of their own. Red sign at the hall, coffee gone cold. Everybody talking with a fire in their bones. Hear that rumble now, under boots on the floor. October is coming and we want something more. October 19th, we're standing up. October 19th, we've had enough. Alberta singing loud, let the whole world hear. October 19th, freedom's here. Hard hats on hooks, checks run thin, hands on the ledger and the same old grin. From the shop to the rig, from the barn to the street, people keep asking, what do we believe? Hear that rumble now, under boots on the floor. October is coming and we want something more. October 19th, we're standing up. October 19th, we've had enough. Alberta singing loud, let the whole world hear. October 19th, freedom's here. Maybe you call it a break, maybe you call it a line. But when the lights go red, we won't waste our time. October 19th, we're standing up. October 19th, we've had enough. Alberta singing loud, let the whole world hear. October 19th, freedom's here. Midnight on the rooftop, old flag in my hands, ancient lion on the canvas, facing steel and desert sand. They try to paint our story over with the blacked out lies and chains, but under every burned out poster I still hear our fathers' names. bled their ink in the dark for the dancers in silence, keeping rhythm in their hearts. Hey, for the brothers in prisons, carving dates into the stone. You are not forgotten, you are not alone. Pressure will rise, I swear it. Hear that echo in my bones. From terror roofs to the ancient thrones. We're breaking their walls, we bear it. Every tear, every battle cry. You can cage your body, but the soul won't die. Pressure will rise. Oh, Persia will rise. We stand together till the falcon flies.
Good morning. Welcome to the NPC show. Deprogramming the world one NPC at a time. I'm your host, Frank. Today is Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Give me another second. Hold on. Another sloppy start, guys. Another sloppy start because there's literally news rolling in non-stop. I was literally adding more stories to the show all the way up until just 30 seconds ago. In fact, another one's probably going to pop up anyhow. Thank you very much, Ina, for the donation. Look at that. Thank you very much, Ina. Yeah, Ina. Thank you, dear. Good morning, Ina. Good morning, Stephanie Sprague. Good to see you too. Am I all ready to go? That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. All right. All right, cool. All right, well, good morning, everyone over on YouTube. We have Lisa Finley, good to see you there. Bendy, Barry, Shadow, good to see you. Lisa, Kim, Mary, Doug, Tristan, Bionic Fire Truck, Pina Coladas, good to see you. And Casanova, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning to Dixie, Mary, Jean, Josie, Jillian. Good morning, Jillian. Hello, Frankie Shears, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Anywho, yes, we have a very long show today. We have a very long show today, followed by a very long watch party. We've got Carolyn Levitt's White House presser. Marco Rubio does another press availability. He's in Asia right now. By the way, he met with Lavrov today. I don't know if it's today or yesterday or tomorrow, but he met with Lavrov from Russia. Yeah, so hopefully that's gonna iron some things out soon. What else is there? After that, we're going to cut off of YouTube. We're going to go to Rumble. We're going to watch a short documentary about the Compass Call. It's hilarious. It's a Gulfstream, you know, those business jets. It's a Gulfstream jet, but they outfitted it to essentially be like a flying EMP. Okay, they've already used it once on Iran, and it has been spotted just barely arriving in England, because they're allowing us to use their bases to, you know, refuel and whatnot. So we're apparently going to be zapping their electronics again. That should be fun. We got today's episode of Asian Women Are Awful. They interview a bunch of Chinese men from China, and they talk about how awful their wives are to them, Chinese wives, and how they all regret getting married. And guys, this is the end result of marrying a Chinese woman. It's terrible. Yeah. I can tell you all about it. I've been screaming it for like 20 years, but was called a sexist for it. So, but anyways, now these guys are all doing a whole population of about 600 million guys in China are screaming it out loud now. Asian women are awful, and I'm just glad that I'm glad that trend has finally caught on. I'm glad I started it. I am a trendsetter, right? And then we got an episode of Joshua talking about Republicans use new tactic for election security. I don't know what that's about, but it should be interesting. So long watch party, long show. Let's get going. Good morning, Becky. Good morning, Chaos. Christine Miller, good to see all of you. Hello to Pina Coladas. Lisa, good to see you. Good morning back at you too, buddy. Anyways, hello, Lisa. No, we haven't even started yet. You are just on time, Lisa. Thank you for being here. What are these? I got more pop-ups here. Indictment, Okay, so we got Las Vegas tax preparers did more tax fraud. Okay, so we got that. Okay, we just got that out of the way. I'm considering massive attack. Okay, we already know about that. Hold on. Oh, so I don't have any fraud stories. So we guess we got one now. That's one. ICE. Okay, cool. So we can add the fraud one right here. Okay, see, we got one more story. They just pop right in. All right, let's get going, guys. Where we at? Hi, that's good. Hello, darling. Good to see you. Darling Troop. Good to see you. Hello, Dalina. Hello to you. Thanks for popping in. All right, let's get going. First story today: ICE arrests an illegal who was previously deported 5 times after explicit texts were sent to someone he knew was or thought was a 14-year-old. This person turned out to be an ICE agent. Yeah, busted. Very gross. His name is Federico Pascual Jimenez. Enunciation, very important to these people. We got to pronounce their names properly. Anyways, he got busted. He'll hopefully be kicked out. Again, I know you're planning to send him to Eswatini, and I know you're planning to send him to CCOT, where he'll be among his compadres and probably get along with everyone. You need to start mix and matching. You need to put them in Eswatini so they can engage in more stabbings. Yeah? I think that'd be a much better place for this guy here. Next story. Obama released an illegal alien who ended 3 people in a hit-and-run crash in North Carolina. Oh, that is bad. This is a guy that did it again. Usually, in this guy's home country, when you buy a new car, it generally comes with a bottle of, a Patron. Drinking and driving is a normal thing to them, and that's why they do it. And that's why you don't let them here. Anyways, the 3 people who are gone, I have no idea who they are. What city is this? Salisbury, North Carolina. I have no idea where that is, but 3 people are gone. It didn't have to be. Next story. This is a 140-year-old church. It is the St. Anne Church in Buffalo, New York. It was
ruled an act of arson.
The hell is that? Oh, that's this video here. Yeah, it was. This is a case of arson, and now some private wealthy person who's probably made millions of dollars using fraud now wants to buy it and convert it into a mosque.
Ruled an act of arson. Councilwoman Leah Halton Pope says she warned the administration this could happen.
What's really challenging is just yesterday afternoon, I may have shared with the administration I was concerned about another fire, and then it happened a couple of hours later. This is a problem.
Black women, stop voting for this, please. Thank you.
Comes just 6 months after a 4-alarm fire at the former St. Anne's Church that caused an estimated...
This is a different one from the one we just talked about, guys. And mind you, notice, these are both black churches.
$600,000 in damage.
I have a lot of seniors who live in and around this neighborhood, and so the impact on their health is tremendous, in addition to just the blight. There are abandoned buildings across the streets.
There were conversations about demolition after the fire in January, and while Halton Pope believes the school needs to come down, she hopes the church can be preserved.
The city itself, if we were to demo it, it would cost us a lot of money, but those costs get pushed on to the owner. I don't think that they understand that even if we demolish it, it doesn't mean that we don't have any other recourse.
Halton Pope says she plans to explore every option available, from possible fines to finding a way to secure the building.
And then there's a conversation.
Joel Osteen, with all that money you make, how about franchising? Franchising, huh? I'm not going to ask you to give away your money because we know you're all about your money. You're about your grift. But franchising Joel Osteen and hiring a black Joel Osteen to do one out there, Hey.
It
won't be long until they burn Joel Osteen's church down, okay? Come on. Let's get this going here.
Department.
Let's start banding together and helping each other out. And franchise. This is in Buffalo.
Figure out who the arsons are because they should be held accountable.
As city officials continue discussing their next steps, we'll of course keep you updated both on air and online at WIVB.com. Reporting on Buffalo's east side, Trina Catterson, News 4.
Yeah, poor Buffalians. Next story. An illegal alien that Richard Blumenthal and the far-left CT Democrats rallied to protect is apparently registered to vote in Connecticut. He lied about being a citizen. Yeah. He's like, are you a citizen? Yes, I citizen, yes. and he's an illegal, and he got to vote. Syed Kika Janin. Sounds like a San Mexican.
The Mexican.
San Mexican. Yeah. Hello, Jojo. Good to see you. Yeah, it is that church that got burnt down was in Buffalo. It's a black church. Second black church in New York this week. Very big one, by the way. And they're not going to rebuild it. They're going to, a private entity is going to buy it. They're going to convert it into a mosque. Anywho, yeah, so lots of fraud out there going on. This is in Connecticut. We're not surprised about Connecticut again. Should we ever get 2/3 of Congress, we need to redraw these state lines. There's no reason why New England needs 10 senators. Okay, it's 10 million people and they got 10 senators. Next story. This is election stats out of New York City. From the 2025 Mamdani election, okay? 7% of the voters did not exist. 6% have fake social security numbers, and 10% did not live in New York City. The amount, if you do the math with these percentages that are invalid, it is greater than the amount he won by. So they could absolutely push to redo this, although unfortunately, they don't seem to be focused on something like this because, when you want to contest an election like this, you need obviously the local judges, you need the state judges on your side, unless you plan to escalate all the way up to the Supreme Court. And that hasn't been very reliable lately, right? Do we want to spend all that money contesting it? I think there are other easier places to flip than New York City via lawfare. Or should I say lawsuits? It's not really a lawfare. Lawfare is something you do when it's not even a valid lawsuit, like Mark Elias does. Next story. Randy Fine is calling for Zohran Mamdani to be deported immediately, denaturalized and deported, and I agree. Yeah, this guy is a menace to New York, allowing churches to burn, standing by terrorists.
Zohran Mamdani criticized Benjamin Netanyahu for killing Hamas terrorists yesterday. I mean, that to be an apologist for terrorists makes you a terrorist.
He's also on the same side as Ilhan Omar, a lady who says that Israel defending themselves from rockets is white supremacy. Remember that? I remember that.
The people from Hamas who sit in Qatar and Turkey who aren't blowing themselves up but are running the organization, they are terrorists. And if you're going to try to whitewash it and feed us this propaganda, you're a terrorist too. Zohran Mamdani never should have been able to become an American citizen. He should be denaturalized and he should be deported. He's a danger to this country.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was naturalized because he has photographs with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Again, a guy that says the Democrats and the leftists keep saying is Trump's friend. Meanwhile, you see time and time again, he's with all these Democrat politicians, bragging with the Crown Prince of Norway, who hates Trump, by the way, about sterilizing 2/3 of the world or something like that. Remember that email? It's an email CoffeeZilla still hasn't talked about. Next story. Iowa laid off 200 state IT workers and applied for a shit ton of H-1B visas. In fact, they are number 3 in terms of the number of H-1B visa filings. They're hiring from Cognizant, which is number 3. 152,000 H-1B firings. And then, and by the way, this was their staff, right? This is what their website looked like a month ago. Because of the backlash that they got from these H-1B applications, they have now updated it to be a little bit more white. Mind you, there's still no white men or Asian men in here. And no, Indians are not Asian men. They are very different. Okay? We don't shit in the streets. Oh, there's a Korean dude right there. I spoke too soon. Was he in the first one? He was not. So you added a gook in there, huh? You were like, oh, we got to make it a little Asian. We can't make it look all entirely like roaches, right? Yeah. And by the way, if you find that offensive, no, they call themselves that, okay? Look at this. Look at this story here, okay? Look at this. Where is it? Not that one. This one. There's those protests happening in India right now? Because of the leaked exam answers that gave an advantage to the upper caste of Indians. Yeah, the lower caste is protesting, and that's the they call themselves the cockroach party. Proudly, right? Proudly, they got a good sense of humor there. Next story. Eric Schmidt blocks a Democrat bill that would have granted amnesty to 350,000 Haitian TPS migrants. So good stuff. So he blocked that
bill, and I'm going to use it. That's why I'm here today. So I object to the bill, which would keep 350,000 Haitians here permanently. I object to changing temporary to permanent. I object to flooding American communities with cheap foreign labor. I object to treating foreigners as the priority and Americans as the afterthought. I object to mass migration. Temporary must mean temporary, and elections have consequences. Therefore, Mr. President, I object.
Good stuff. Next story. Citizens Bank has caved to the left. They say that anti-ICE activists, they caved to anti-ICE activists. They have announced that they are cutting off credit to contractors running detention centers. Okay, so if you're going to bank, do not bank with Citizens Bank. They will use their profits to politically persecute you. I'm sure they will eventually also cancel ya. Yeah, cancel ya like they canceled General Flynn. Yeah, this is what they do. Citizens Bank, awful garbage. Just caught a hot boycott. If you are with them, please switch over to a credit union. Okay. Why would you do a bank for? They're there to make money. Credit unions, they're just kind of there to help you do banking. Sorry. ICE is now in Maryland. Look at that, guys. Oh, look at them roll up in Maryland. We can probably mute that copyright music there. Oh, Maryland. They're coming after ya. Maryland, you guys are screwed. Maryland screwed. At least the blacks will get the communities back, right? Hey, look at that. Yeah, they set up checkpoints, guys. Oh, look at that. He's running after them. Wow, these guys are fit. I'm glad I never applied. I would have been dead like halfway through that run right there. Anyways, next story. Oh yeah, new footage shows a leftist trying to impede an ICE agent. Yeah, very tense conversation here. They threatened to arrest her. I think she backs out.
Her lawyer's outside. I am not impeding anything. I am standing away from you. I'm asking you for her lawyer.
We're going to be very nice to you and very talk to you very kindly and with respect. You don't have to look at me. You don't have to
say anything.
You're right.
Chantal, say nothing. Say nothing, Chantal. Say nothing at all. Offer them nothing, show them nothing.
And furthermore, I'm going to advise you. You're interfering with a federal
I'm not. I'm standing right here.
I will charge you with 18
I'm not in your way. I'm not in your way. I'm standing out of your way.
You can continue on.
No, I'm just going to stand here. I'm not in your way at all.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not in your way.
We're going this way. Okay.
Yeah. She's right outside the door, Chantal.
And she's right outside, and that's fine. You can. We're going to close the door.
Hey!
And you're going to continue on.
No, I don't have to do that. Chantal, stop. Where are you? Help! Help! Help us! Hey, you guys, come help us!
Help us impede justice.
It's here, help us!
Help us impede law enforcement and get arrested as well.
Help us!
How come you're not doing it, lady? How come you're not doing it? You don't want to get arrested, do you? But you'll let everyone else get arrested.
No, don't show me in. I don't have to. No, stop. No, I'm
You should
not
arrest her too. She's impeding justice.
going to do that. You can come on this side. That's fine.
Uh-oh, to the rape dungeon you go. I wish.
Your faces. You're allowed to record them.
Hey, the Russians do it, you know?
You're allowed to record them.
Very nice. You're very
I
respectful.
don't give a fuck if you're being nice. Fuck you.
Okay.
Come on.
This is fucking evil, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of it. This is evil. This is the reputation you've garnered for yourself, by the way, all you illegals and people who look like illegals. Huh?
Being polite. Fuck you.
I'm gonna just give you a heads up.
Shut up.
If you're honest,
You know, it would have been different if you were all nice, but instead you go around bullying everyone and like shitting on white people and Asians, by the way. Look at me. I get to start pandemics and people still like me. You know? Why can't you be like Asians?
speak to them like that, you will not board this flight.
Wait, you like ice? You're into ice? You like ice?
He's black. Of course he does. They're invading his community. He's losing jobs because of them.
You don't have to defend him.
The pilot is very well aware.
I don't care what the pilot is aware of.
But you have a choice right now. You can either get on the plane.
Wait, you're not in charge of me.
No, not of you. But
You're not in charge of me.
You ain't the boss of me. I grew up without a dad. I don't listen to nobody.
just gonna say you can make a choice.
No, I'm not talking to you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Everybody, this man is harassing a woman. He arrested her for nothing. Fuck you. Fuck ICE. Fuck ICE. Fuck ICE.
This is great. We love it, don't we? Don't we, guys? We love it. This is how much you pissed us off. You know, go on TikTok. Go on TikTok. Look for those anti-white videos. Look for those videos saying very, very racist stuff to white people. This is why we're cheering mass deportations. Yeah. Yeah. This is why I have a segment called Asian Women Are Awful every day. 1 episode per day of Asian women are being awful. Yeah. Next story. 3 people in Las Vegas got busted. They were tax preparers, and they were filing fictitious tax returns to get a bunch of money. False tax returns. Look at that. For clients. Ooh, busted. Next story. A Secret Service agent has been benched after allegedly leaking sensitive information about J.D. Vance and his wife. So they just had a new Bobby, okay? And that was leaked to MS Now before anybody else. And I'm sure they're upset because he was hoping to sell that news to Fox, right? I'm sure they would have paid money for it. No, someone in the Secret Service leaked it and they made the money for it. And they're upset. So they benched him. Hey, man, it's his baby. He gets to make the money, not you. You owe him that money now. You know? Like John Sullivan. Remember John Sullivan? Huh? He made that money on J6 and then he had to turn it over to the government because you can't make money committing crimes. Next story. Jack Smith has been officially criminally referred for prosecution after he got caught lying to Congress. So, yeah, I hope you guys actually act on this guy. I think he's too high-leveled for anyone to touch. Kind of like Ilhan Omar. I don't know. I don't know where Jack Smith stands, but I find it interesting that he's a D.C. prosecutor and he was able to prosecute something in Florida. That's a little weird, right? Yeah. Not even your jurisdiction. How come we didn't get him on that? That would have been a lot easier than getting him for lying to Congress. How many people have lied to Congress and gotten away with it already? A lot, right? A lot, a whole lot. Yeah. Next story. Yesterday there was a story about this guy right here. He's a Trump admin, and his name is Brandon Newsom, director of business operations in the Department of War, the Navy division. Okay, he said something along the lines of an undercover video because he was on a date or some shit, right? Maybe, I don't know. He's talking to this guy. Maybe it was a date. I don't know, because you know, it could be, you know, like that. Anyways, he said in quotes, "I can do whatever's been done by the Trump admin." Okay. He's now on administrative leave. Yeah, Hung Kao put him on administrative leave. Good stuff. I hope you dishonorably discharge him. Huh? Dishonorably discharge him. Next story. Mike Lindell, days after getting a Trump endorsement, goes on a left-wing podcast and is now advocating for giving amnesty to illegals, the ones who don't commit crimes. Yeah, this is how disconnected he is with everyone else. Yeah, he's so comfortable when his multi-billion-dollar company doesn't talk to anyone at all. Hey, have you talked to your employees and asked them, do they wish they made more money? Are they upset about wage suppression by illegal immigrants? And here you are, you want to naturalize more illegals? He's saying that they haven't committed a crime, but it's like, okay, being here illegally is a crime. Holy shit.
Here's what I propose is I want to make conditional non-resident visas. And this would be, I'm going to actually talk to the president about this, but I want to start with Minnesota. These conditional non-resident visas, you would have 6 months. Anyone's here that is an illegal immigrant comes in, you get checked into the courthouse, you get fingerprinted, you get checked in to get this conditional non-resident visa. Now you have 6 months to do that. You're not a citizen, but you don't have to leave ever, as long as a couple of things happen.
I guess we know who else is in the illegal immigrant worker lobby, huh? Or at least receiving money from them.
One is you can't commit a crime be convicted of a crime of a gross misdemeanor or better. Right now we have 1,300 people in Minnesota that are in our prisons that are illegal. We pay $110 million a year to house them. They need to be shipped out. Okay.
Yeah, but the president is not going to go for this.
Now let me finish the plan, Esme. So you have this. And now, at the end of the 6 months, of these people, if they want to go get a driver's license, they can go get a driver's license.
Oh, so they can vote. Got it. Wow.
But just like when I used to get DWIs, there was conditions on my driver's license. They will have to get a driver's license, but they will have to learn to speak English and to read our signs here. Okay, that's going to be one of the conditions, okay?
That's not something that'll ever pass in Minnesota. Even if you win, they still have a Democrat Congress. You think they're going to pass that?
Now, if you go to the line to be a legal citizen, then you go to the back of the line. But here's the thing: that line's going to be short, and there's going to be no cost. How are we going to pay for that? Here's how we're going to pay.
No cost to the illegal to get naturalized and get their driver's license and all that stuff. We all have to pay to get our license renewed and our registration, but not them.
During the 6 months, the employers that are paying cash, at the end of that 6 months, if they're paying cash and they don't have that card, these guys are committing crimes, these employers. They need to go to jail for 90 days. It'll be mandatory. And then they're going to start paying taxes that we all pay. And the economy is going to go up here because these guys, everyone's going to start paying taxes.
Well, the immigrant community, undocumented, do pay taxes. There's a way that started in the...
No, they don't, lady.
1990s, okay. There is a way that they do pay taxes.
They're not all paying this. These employers are paying. It solves a big problem. These guys now, the illegals, can come out of the shadows. They can live like you and I. They don't have to hide out. They don't have.
You can pay the minimum wage now. Yeah, nobody wants that. They're here for slavery, not minimum wage.
To worry about being attacked so they can't tell anybody, or raped, or whatever would happen to them. Yeah. They don't have to have that worry. These employers that are stealing from all of us better look out under my watch, because they better have that condition.
Oh, he's calling out the employers, guys. He's calling out the employers. He's blaming it on them.
Non-resident card for you to employ them, and you better be paying your taxes. And then if you do this, here's what happens.
So that's yet another DSA talking point. The corporations are always the problem. Well, what about the fabric you use for your MyPillow? Isn't that made by slaves, Turkish slaves in China? Huh? The Xinjiang region, yeah, the textiles industry over there. Yeah, that's you, right?
You now have all the money that you gain. It's in the billions, not millions. In the billions you gain from them paying taxes. Now, these employers, okay, you take that money and you use it to legalize people. You bring it to, because right now a lot of the people, they can't afford $5,000 to $15,000 to go through the system to be legalized. I went down to Florida and checked it all out and people that are coming in legally.
Well, I know that farmers.
Got it. So they don't have money. They don't have money to become naturalized, so we're gonna pay for it. Got it. Yeah, most of us can't even afford college for our kids, but you want us to pay for their naturalization process so that they can take our jobs, Mike Lindell. And Mr. Trump, you better rescind this endorsement. This is looking really bad. Their primary is in 3 weeks.
Would be thrilled with something like this because they've lost a lot of people, and the president does seem to be aware that there is a need for these workers and that the system has to be fixed so that we can get these workers in. But his policies, though, ended up deporting and arresting a lot of those neighbors that you've talked to.
I haven't talked to him yet about this. This is a couple of things that maybe he's not seeing at the level. I live this. I came down to Minneapolis. I have friends down here. I'm down here all the time.
But you also had a business.
Yes, in a business. So here's what I'm going to tell you what happens then. What happens is now you've actually sorted the illegals we don't want. The ones that have committed, that are in our prisons here, that have committed rape, murder, all the ones that are actually out looking for that the president wants gone. Now, here's what happens. When these guys come out and finally they don't have to hide anymore, they can be, I'm going to have whistleblower policies. They're going to say, hey, this guy here, he did this crime. And if you have committed a crime of a gross...
A snitch policy, guys. That's what the communists do. That's how China started the social credit score, by the way. They just started with a bunch of snitches in a bunch of villages. They went around ratting on everyone, and they get little brownie points for it. It's a communist tactic, by the way. My mom always rewarded my brother for snitching me out, so he snitched me out on anything possible that he can come up with. My whole life. Yeah, he did it so much that he went into the real world and did the same thing. He used to hang out with this group of dudes in high school. He got kicked out of that group because he ratted out one of the guys to his girlfriend for giving his number to a new girl. Just giving his number to a new girl. Didn't like bang her or go out with her, nothing like that. Just gave her a new number. He's probably sick and tired of the old bitch. That's it. My brother ratted on him to his girlfriend. And my brother's friends with this guy. And then my brother gets kicked out of that group and then challenges him to a fight and then loses. Yeah. Yeah. Communists, guys. This is how it is. This is what communists do.
They're shipped out. They're you don't get a second chance on that. And when you have these conditions,
you'd have to be convicted.
You have to be convicted. You can't be charged. You can't. Doesn't work that way. I've been there. Okay. If you have one of these conditional non-resident visas, and you commit a crime, if you're convicted of a crime of a gross misdemeanor or up, I'm sorry, you have to leave our country. Now, nobody's going to be left here other than the bad ones that don't go in and get that. They're not going to get that card. And then everybody's safer. Our communities are safer. You take the ones that are left, and they're going to tell on them and say, these guys have been doing this. And
So you're telling me, Mike Lindell, that your plan is that we're going to give all the non-violent criminals amnesty to get rid of the bad ones. Do you not think that this might encourage future illegals to show up with criminals so that they can commit crimes again? We can repeat this process and add another 20 million illegals and another 20 million illegals and another 20 million illegals who, by the way, are going to be Democrats?
And they're not going to be able to get employed because they're criminals, and these guys better not employ them to steal from us.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about my opinion about Mike Lindell. When he first started coming out, talking about the election fraud, okay, I was like, okay, good, he's speaking out. And then you had the cyber symposium. Remember the cyber symposium where he hired a plant? He hired a plant where immediately on day one of the cyber symposium, that plant goes on to left-wing MSNBC and tells everyone that it's all the data that Mike Lindell is going to present is all fake and he made it all up. Okay, that was the first thing. Second thing, he made this website called Frank Speech. Okay, the website blew ass. Okay, it was completely unviewable, unwatchable. It didn't work. It took years for it to start working. Okay, so again, I want for those two things alone, I was just kind of like, okay, look, this guy's incompetent. He's kind of a moron. I'm pretty sure at this point that he's a mole. Okay, he's pretending he's one of us. Him, Linwood, Sidney Powell, okay, garnered all this attention, collected millions of dollars in donations, okay, and then in the end, what have they done? They've done nothing for us. Nothing. They're all fakes. I told you guys, all these big guys at the top, they're all fakes. They all fuck each other. Even the guys, they all touch tips. They're all. I've never trusted any of these big fucks out there. Holy crap. Anyways, so a very disappointing little piece to find out about him. This is posted by, I'll retweet that if you guys want to see it. But again, someone in the chat saying that he's saying that the people are taking his speech out of context. You heard it already yourself, unedited and raw. He said it. He not only said he wanted to give amnesty, he proposed 3 to 4 very communistic policies. Okay, a snitch policy, all right, and then the other two that I listed earlier. Terrible. Again, he's either, it could be some DSA agent, some communist getting into his ear. I mean, he does manufacture MyPillow in China, right? They could be getting into his ear and saying, hey, you should propose this and propose that. 75% of what he just said was DSA talking points. Huh. Anyways, I'm glad I never bought a MyPillow. Did you guys know that the foam that they use in MyPillow is basically chopped up foam from rejected foam mattresses? Like, they try to make foam mattresses all perfect, right? Because they overcharge for them. And then if some of it's ripped or torn or whatever, if it's broken, if it's cracks in a foam, they then discard that mattress. But instead of discarding it, they chop it up and make his shitty pillows out of it with Chinese textiles made by slaves in the Xinjiang region. Anyways, very disappointing. I hope President Trump hears about this and rescinds his endorsement, because the primaries. Here, let's look this up real quick. Minnesota gubernatorial primary. It is, I believe, in 2 weeks. August 11th. So a little over 2 weeks away, and there are plenty of other candidates. I have no idea who these people are. But it's time to pick someone else, Mr. President, because holy crap. I mean, to be fair, it's Minnesota. He didn't have a chance anyways, right? Next story. This guy right here is a former pastor. He has been found to be using $340,000 from his congregations to fund gambling. Yeah, we got another one of these guys. Has he been arrested? Or okay, stealing more than arrest? Has he been arrested? Arrest. He is not. The word arrest does not show up at all in this article, other than something about Netanyahu. That's an unrelated article, though. Wow, we got another. I mean, I don't know. This I can't say it's another David E. Taylor, because David E. Taylor ran slave rings, literally. This guy's name is Dale Sanders, 56 years old, of Kenner. Oh, found guilty. Okay, so he's already convicted. Found guilty on July 17th of a 25-count superseding indictment charging him with wire fraud, access device fraud, and obstruction of a federal investigation following a 5-day jury trial. Okay, so he's totaling over $340,000. The money bankrolled his casino gambling, hotel stays, meals, and living expenses. The scheme stretched from 2020 to 2024. Okay, the Biden era. Yeah, the era of the FBI and investigators were used to raid Christians, conservatives, and pro-life activists only. Yeah. Anyways, so that's that story. Next story. Brandon Gill's at it again. There's another congressional hearing. He exposed the American Bar Association to their face. Very hilarious. And he does this so professionally. Okay, he basically calls her transphobic and things like it's freaking hilarious. Using the left-wing tactic on the left wing.
Should have a transgender Supreme Court justice.
Diversity has many forms, and we believe that.
Do you think that you're not answering in a straightforward way? Do you think that's because of your own implicit bias?
I believe that I'm trying to explain that the ABA does not set quotas and does not believe that.
Do you have implicit transphobia?
The ABA believes that diversity in all of its forms is important and helps the profession more globally.
Okay. ABA's website states that our legal profession is enhanced when judges resemble the cultural groups that make up American society. How many Supreme Court justices have we had in American history?
I could not tell you over the
It's about 116. Do you know of those 116, how many of them have been transgender?
I have no idea.
Do you think there might have been one?
I have no idea.
Is it fair to say that there have been no transgender Supreme Court justices in American history?
I honestly have no idea.
You don't know?
I have no idea.
You study the law, don't you?
We do not study the personal attributes of individual justices.
Is there a Supreme Court justice in American history that you think might have been transgender?
I have no idea.
You have no idea? Well, I think most people can assume that there haven't been any transgender Supreme Court justices. I hope that we can agree at least on that basis. Would that be okay to proceed under that assumption? Okay. I appreciate that. So transgenders haven't been represented on the Supreme Court. Do you think that it's important that the next Supreme Court justice be transgender?
The ABA does not subscribe to any particular quotas.
I'm not asking about a quota. I'm asking about representation, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The ABA supports diversity in all of its forms. And
have transgenders been included on the U.S. Supreme Court?
The ABA supports the full spectrum of diversity.
Do you think that it's a problem that the transgender community has never had representation on the U.S. Supreme Court?
The ABA believes in diversity, equity, and
inclusion. She still won't answer it. By the way, thank you very much, David Source, for the donation. Thank you, buddy. Every day, keeping the channel alive. Thank you, buddy.
Inclusion as
and I'm asking you about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm asking you about inclusion of the transgender community.
We believe that people ought to bring their entire self to whatever role they're serving.
You're refusing to answer my question. Do you think that it's important that we have a transgender Supreme Court justice?
I believe that it's
in order to include that community.
I believe that it is always important, the ABA believes that it is always important to to support and encourage diversity.
So we should have a
inclusion.
transgender Supreme Court justice?
Diversity has many forms, and we believe that.
Do you think
each
that you're not
person-
answering in a straightforward way? Do you think that's because of your own implicit bias?
I believe that.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm trying to explain that the ABA does not set quotas and does not believe that
Do you have
need
implicit
one-
transphobia?
The ABA.
It's crazy how he does it so he's so poised and professional doing this, right? If I was doing this, I would be doing the same thing, but I would be screaming and throwing chairs.
ABA believes that diversity in all of its forms is important and helps the profession more globally.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Should Americans be judged?
That's hilarious. Next story. So they're still doing investigations into all the Act Blue donations. This guy here actually went to a lady. She's 88 years old, living in an RV. Okay, she is on record donating $150,000 across 5 years to Democrat candidates. And then they ask her about it. She's like, "What? I don't have that kind of money."
Waffle?
Yeah.
It says here that you've donated $150,000 in the last 5 years to various campaigns, and that you've made nearly 15,000 donations.
I doubt it.
You want to see it?
15,000, yeah.
15,000 separate donations on the computer. Did you make 15,000 donations in 5 years? $150,000?
150, hell no. I don't have.
See, this is why Trump was happy that the Supreme Court lifted the caps on campaign contribution limitations, because the Democrats were cheating anyways. They were getting campaign contributions that weren't even legitimate. So now it can just go straight from the entity to the candidate, and that's it. You know, because they already have their Smurf donation network set up right now. This whole network's useless.
That kind of money.
Do you have internet?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Do you have a computer?
No,
No? So how could you make all these donations?
I don't know. Are these all mine?
Yes, this is, now, there's 900 pages. I ran out of paper to print it on.
Your board chairman said Act Blue accepted up to 38 million contributions in 2024 that had the signs of foreign origin. How much fraud is too much fraud?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
How many foreign contributions did Act Blue accept?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Because anything I say will incriminate me.
How much money did Act Blue accept from Russia?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Wow, from Russia, huh? And you guys call Trump the Russian puppet? That's interesting. That's interesting.
Why did your entire legal team quit?
Well, Trump did, after all, sell Uranium 1 to Vladimir Putin, right? Oh, wait, that was Hillary Clinton. I'm mixing up the people.
Your in-house legal team.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Did your legal team quit because of reduced fraud standards?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Understand. And we won't keep you here all day, but let me just do one more. Did you weaken your fraud standards to help Democrats?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Anyhow, you get the idea. Next story. New Jersey joined the ERIC system that does not report if a person is a non-citizen. Okay. Then illegals started voting. 24 states are now using something called the SAVE system. I had no idea this even existed. Apparently, the SAVE system is a national database that allows individual states to validate whether the person is legitimately a citizen or not. Okay, whether they choose to, by the way, even if they use it, doesn't mean that they're cleaning up their voter rolls. The states still make the decision on who to remove and who to keep on the voter roll. So just because states are opting into this doesn't mean that they are. So again, you still got to keep an eye on all these red states that could be full of rhinos. Okay, and then especially North Dakota. I heard that's a real piece of shit state right there. And what's that? So yes. Oh, and by the way, there's 26 states that have opted into this. 24 states that have not. They're not using the SAVE network at all, the SAVE system, and it is almost entirely Democrat states. That's on the right side over here. Everything in gray. Those are the states that are not participating in it. So there's that. Eric Schmidt reveals that federal prosecutions can legally be brought against New Jersey's public officials responsible for the thousands of non-citizens registered to vote. So they tried to blame the machine company for it. The machine company says, no, it is not our machines. They are literally the ones registering these people.
I would also point out, Laura, there's a strict liability standard here under federal law. People should be prosecuted, and that could mean elected officials, because as you mentioned, the company said this went to this board. They specifically laid out the criteria where you say the first question was, are you a citizen or not? And if the answer is no, you should not be able to proceed. You don't get to go to the next step. But they allowed people to register to vote, and several hundred people at least actually voted. So that's a big problem in this country, and we ought to take it seriously.
Well, do you not agree that this is, I don't care how it happened, it disenfranchised at least the same number of people who, if it's 400, I guess we'll believe that number, but 6,600 were on the rolls that shouldn't have been on the rolls. And I don't know if it rises to a federal cause of action for a federal investigation, but I don't think Mikey should, yeah, there is an investigation, Sam reminds me. So to me, it's really, really important that this is where this ends up, because in close elections, hundreds of votes do matter, Senator.
Absolutely. And in local elections, remember, these people are not just voting in national elections, but they're electing a mayor, and they're electing a county councilman, they're electing a state representative.
Yeah. All right, next story. It's not just New Jersey in this registration scandal. 6 states were previously caught with DMV, including thousands of non-citizens on their voter roll. These states are the obvious. California, 190,000 in California. That is way more than New Jersey. New Jersey's at 35,000. Nevada, 16,000. Pennsylvania, 15,000. I don't know where the other 2 states are, but yeah, this is not news. Again, they're talking about the SAVE systems, states that are opting to not use it. And even if they use it, there's no proof that they're cleaning up anything at all. Not to mention the continued, even if they clean up the voter rolls, they're just going to register more fraudulent votes. They do it every year. Every year, just before the midterms or the general election, there's a surge in registrations a month prior, and then immediately after the election's over and called, they get rid of them. Because these votes are not they're not tied to individual social security numbers. They claim it's for privacy. It's not, so that they can cheat. Privacy, every cell phone spying on us, flock cameras everywhere. Privacy? Get out of here. Get out of here with that. We don't have privacy. Next story. This is a very big surprise that came yesterday. The U.S. House has passed the NDAA, which includes the Save America Act. Now, the fact that it passed was not surprising. The fact that 6 Democrats voted yes to pass it, knowing the Save America Act is in it, is very, very surprising. Yeah. 6 Democrats, guys, and 1 independent. I think that's the Republican who ran as an independent in California, just to get his foot in the door. But the fact that 6 Democrats voted to pass this is optimistic, because that means there probably should be some Democrats, at least one named John Fetterman, in the Senate that would pass this. This is, by the way, HR 8800 is the NDAA. It only requires 50 votes plus 1, meaning JD Vance, to pass. So seeing that there are 6 here gives a little bit of optimism there. And then on top of that, the Save America Act was also added into HCON Resolution 113. This one is a House resolution where It's basically budget related. It's going to establish caps for a variety of factors within budgeting, as well as create some sort of like a person in charge of like not making sure that there's not a lot of bullshit. I mean, it's essentially going to be like a budget like the parliamentarian, but budget wise, right? So it's not really going to secure much in terms of what we want as the people. We would like to elect that person. Unfortunately, that person, obviously, they're going to be corrupt in their own ways anyways, they'll just buy out both candidates on the left and the right. And have just another crooked parliamentarian, but that's what that's about. The Save America Act was added to this as well, which also only needs 50 votes, 50 plus JD Vance. The odd thing with this one, though, is that there were no Democrats that supported this one, because again, the Democrats are trying to do a government shutdown this year, just before midterms. And so the Democrats obviously would not support some sort of budget reconciliation, right? Well, oddly though, Mike Johnson spoke about this, and he's more optimistic about the Save America Act passing under this than the NDAA. So I don't know why. There's more Democrats voting for the other one. Anyway, next story. There's already suspicions growing that John Thune will strip the Save America Act from key bills. Not the parliamentarian, John Thune. Okay, Senator Thune. The parliamentarian is just an advisory role. He is the one who's been doing this all along. Okay? So he's the one who stripped out a lot of the good stuff out of the One Big Beautiful Bill. He's the one who stripped out the thing about the thing blocking biological men from women's sports. He's the one who removed it, which is why we're still fighting for it now. Anyway, so yeah, here's some coverage on that.
The Republicans are trying to make good on their legislative agenda by passing a batch of measures before their annual summer recess. This includes the Save America Act and even a plan to avoid a fall government shutdown. Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram explains the summertime sprint from Capitol Hill. Good evening, Chad.
Brett, good evening. The House just okayed $95 billion for the Pentagon and the war in Iran. It's part of a hectic day on the House floor. The House of Representatives trying to cure the legislative summertime blues.
Save America Act.
Stock Trading Act.
The Republican Reconciliation 3.0.
The NDAA.
The House approved a stopgap bill to avoid a government shutdown this fall.
Let's just take this off the table. Let's get this through the election.
The House sending the Senate a budget framework to pay for the conflict in Iran, tacking on the Save America Act. But there's GOP skepticism.
I'm not 100% convinced that the save language is going to be held solid through the Senate.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune may not even tackle the budget blueprint until September.
We could pull that budget resolution passed by the House and use it to fund government.
That package is immune to filibusters. Republicans could then cut Democrats out of the funding process.
It's very ominous. The reconciliation process is an indication of failure on the part of the institution.
Republicans hope the threat compels Democrats to help avoid a fall government shutdown.
I think Leader Thune believes he'll have some reasonable Democrats in the Senate that will assist.
The House also approving a plan barring members from trading stocks.
If you want to day trade...
Oh, that passed, by the way.
There's a place...
Passed the House.
That is called Wall Street.
But banning stock trades isn't in the mix in the Senate. That frustrates voters.
They're not going to feel confident in this institution if they think that there's members of
this is out of date. That's what it is. It just passed yesterday.
Congress.
That's why he's saying, oh, how come they're not banning the trading thing? That it did pass.
Actively trade stocks. It's totally insane to me.
But little is solved. There's no agreement.
Anyways, yeah, a lot of stuff stuck at the Senate right now. Sunshine Protection Act. The insider trading bill. Things like that. I mean, it's not going to make much of a difference. The bill basically bans politicians and their family members from trading. But I mean, all you got to do is have like some other company do it for you, right? And send them tips. Someone unrelated, you know. Anyways, next story. So a lot of people are opposing this NDAA with the Save America Act passed because they're alleging that the NDAA has some sort of a hidden thing that no one's talking about, where it takes our military and merges it with Israel's. It does not. Okay, that is, again, that's Chinese propaganda. Okay, all it does, this new NDAA, is it requires the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to appoint a single employee in the Pentagon that is going to be an advisory role, kind of like a communications person between Israel and the United States. Okay, and by the way, the people who are against this are also the same people who had no problem with Mark Milley communicating with China about our military activity. Okay, so yes, time and time again, lame duck Thomas Massie votes with Democrats in an effort to block GOP legislation. This time he's using a debunked lie that the NDAA includes a provision merging our military with Israel's. The bill simply instructs the Secretary of War to assign a single employee to work closely with Israel's defense industry to see if they have any technology we'd like to incorporate into our military. We could very much use their Iron Beam, right? Their Iron Beam's doing pretty good lately. It also says here, do we really need a law forcing the Department of War to have an employee focused on working with Israel? I don't think so, but it's worth not passing. Is it worth not passing the Save America Act to block it? No. It is just a single advisory role. It would, by the way, put us in sync with a lot of people who are helping us in this war against Iran right now. We're trying to chop off one of China's, the other oil leg. We chopped off Venezuela. Now we got to chop off Iran. Okay, two very foundational energy countries for China. Okay, we get rid of those two. China's now going to have to buy. Well, no, they still have oil. They still have Russia. They'll have to buy oil from Russia, and then that'll be literally their last remaining source of cheap oil. But by then, we would have already brought out. We would have already taken Karg Island and brought out some productivity out of that, further tanking the price of oil, and then also Venezuela. They're going to be doing pretty well pretty soon, right? We're rebuilding their oil infrastructure. They're going to be cranking out lots of oil. We're seizing Iranian ships and selling it to them, which we should, by the way. I just made that up, by the way. We should, though. That last part about us selling the ships. We should sell the ships. They don't need them. What are you going to do with them? Get them caught again? Get caught with more oil? We just take the oil from the source at Karg Island. Anyway, so again, this is what they're doing. This is the Chinese propaganda, okay? We got MTG working with Massey. MTG is chummy with Code Pink. Code Pink is created by the wife of Neville Singham. Neville Singham currently lives in Shanghai, heavily funded by the CCP. Pushes radical activism in America. All the riots that you see, all the racist propaganda that you see is driven by the CCP. A lot of the anti-Israel propaganda driven by the CCP. Next story. Mike Lee had something to say about the Save America Act within the NDAA. He has actually become optimistic about it. He announced he might have found a way to pass the proper Save America Act under the budget reconciliation, needing just 50 votes plus one, a move he previously thought was impossible. Again, so him and Mike Johnson are optimistic about this route. I was optimistic about the NDAA route. Because that's national defense, right? It's national defense, and it's a plus one for Israel, which means the AIPAC lobby is going to be pretty happy about it, which, again, like most of the Democrats are also AIPAC representatives, AIPAC lobby recipients. I figure that's why they got 6 votes to vote yes on that NDAA / Save America Act, right? But both him and Mike Johnson says that they're more optimistic about it passing under the budget, the House Con Resolution 113. I think House Congressional Resolution 113, the one about budgets and stuff.
After the House passed its budget today, opening the door for a possible third round of reconciliation in which the Save America Act could be attached, I started looking more closely at this. I think I may have been mistaken. I think I may have been too hasty in concluding that the Save America Act can't be made budgetary. I think there's a path. I'm saying there's a chance. And we got to fight for every single possibility that chance could materialize.
On us if we can't see that. Shame on us if we don't take the steps necessary.
He delivered, by the way, like a 30-minute speech in Congress about the Save America Act.
To extricate ourselves from the sharp, clinging talons of the so-called zombie filibuster.
Hey, by the way, if anybody has a hold of Mike Lee, let him know that people in Utah are now passing a law that's going to conceal criminal mugshots from the public. Okay? Which means you can expect a Muslim problem very quickly. And your Mormon population will be very unhappy about that. If you want to get reelected, make sure that mugshot comes out so people know who's causing the problems. And make sure anybody named Muhammad is not listed as white.
The name that I've assigned for the use of the 60-vote cloture standard as a de facto 60-vote passage standard, which it is not, which it was never meant to be, in which if it were, it would arguably run afoul of the Constitution. Because the Constitution makes clear when you're setting a supermajority threshold as the minimum standard, it makes clear where that is. There are several instances, including when you're either proposing.
Okay, this is a little bit. It's like 3 minutes long. Thank you very much, Mo P, for the 5 coffees. Thank you so much, dear. You are a doll. Thank you, dear. Love, love, love. Thank you. So he's optimistic as well about that as well, but he's referring to it in the reconciliation side. I was like, wow, that's a little unexpected, but okay. Aside from that, we're gonna watch this whole presser in just a bit, but she did say something about President Trump becoming impatient with Thune. You're impatient now. I was impatient like a long time ago, President, Mr. President.
Look, the president spoke about this directly yesterday. His patience is running out. He wants to see as much of the Save America passed as possible by the August recess. He knows that's what the American people want to see passed. He was just traveling on the road yesterday, spoke about this, and there was a very loud applause from the people in the audience, the everyday Americans, because voter ID is common sense. They want proof of citizenship in our elections, and the president feels very strongly about that. And I would just add, the American people elected overwhelmingly Republicans to lead not just this White House, but also the House and the Senate. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do its job too.
So there's that, and I believe Senator Thune responded to that, sulking. Where is it? I saw it earlier, but oh, there it is. It says here, Thune is fuming at Carolyn Leavitt, saying President Trump's patience is wearing thin over the Save America Act. Thune says, well, maybe she or somebody else ought to get on the phone and get the votes for it. A guy, that's your job. That's your job, Mr. Thune. Yeah. So instead of pointing the finger at Republicans, no, we're not pointing the fingers at Republicans. We're pointing them directly at you, Mr. Parliamentarian guy. Let's see. Anywho, that's his little excuse there. Next story. Rashida Tlaib says she wants to carry a citizen's arrest out with Mamdani against Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, I dare ya. And I'll tell you what, I hope it happens, Rashida Tlaib. I hope you do. You know why? Because the West Bank will be annexed by Israel. Yeah, that's what would happen. Tough girl with glasses.
Ways.
Obsessed with him. He's doing a great job.
Well, he's exploring ways to arrest Netanyahu. What do you think about that?
Arrest him. He's a war criminal.
Does he even have the authority to explore the arrest of Netanyahu?
I believe it's the Palestinians firing rockets into Jerusalem and kidnapping ravers. Remember that? I remember that. Pepperidge Farms remembers that.
It's a citizen's arrest. If he needs help, tell him to call me.
What, a citizen's arrest? Good luck trying to get...
Anybody know why this guy's face is exploding? Is he just gaining weight? I hope he's just gaining weight. I hope that's not like, I don't know, like a precursor to a stroke or something like that. Because he looks like he's about to explode, you know? Next story. President Trump announces that Saudi Arabia will have to join the... Okay, so you know how okay, so here's what happened. Saudi Arabia wanted to negotiate with Trump to have their own like little nuclear energy program, domestic civilian nuclear stuff. Okay, not bombs. Okay, not nuclear weapons, but nuclear energy. That way they could sell more of the oil. They can make more money. Okay, Trump has greenlit that, so they have like I think a 3-year the 3 years they're going to be planning to put this all together. I know this is concerning for a lot of people. However, I can assure you they already have nuclear weapons, okay? If you don't know about the security pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, Saudi Arabia has agreed to defend Pakistan and anytime they get invaded in any way. This protected them from India. In exchange, Pakistan would be their nuclear program. Pakistan would make nuclear weapons for Saudi Arabia. And if Saudi Arabia needed them, they would get them. Okay? Saudi Arabia also funded this nuclear program. Okay? So even if we allowed Saudi Arabia to just go ahead and make nuclear weapons, they already have them, okay? But that's not what this deal is. This deal is for civil use of nuclear materials. It says here, Trump wrote, the civil nuclear deal, being made between the U.S. Department of Energy and Saudi Arabia, which pertains only to non-military use such as the ones that Iran and UAE and others already have, will be approved, but is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. So we're going to have Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords now. So good stuff there. The U.S. is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities. So good stuff there. So obviously they're going to tell you, oh, they're going to make weapons and betray us and nuke us. No, they already have nukes. It doesn't make a difference. Next story. Today, the House passed an anti-Trump Iran war powers bill, 214 to 208. However, it has already failed in the Senate. So again, I don't know why you keep trying to pass this bill. You stupid House Republicans, House whoever it is passing this, okay? Whoever this is bringing these bills, you guys are stupid, because every time you've tried to pass this bill, anytime it fails a chamber, it is a green light to Trump to go even more ham on things, okay? If you don't know what ham is an acronym for hard as a mother effer, okay? And every time you try to pass this bill restricting him, it has been a green light to him to say, oh, Congress approves of me doing this. Okay, good, I'll do more. Bam. So why waste your time with this? Go pass something else. Next story. The Houthis claimed that they attacked yesterday they claimed that they attacked two Saudi oil tankers. Saudi Arabia did confirm that they were hit, and they are mad. Also, Pakistan apparently also got one hit as well. And they said there's no thin line when it comes to defending our national security. It's a red line. If our ships, so they haven't gotten hit. The two ships were Saudi Arabia's, but again, because of the security agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Pakistan will have to get involved. Pakistan's already deployed a lot of troops to the border of Saudi Arabia in case they need it, in case they need to do a ground invasion of Iran. Okay, so that is their little agreement there. And they said they're literally saying, hey, you keep attacking Saudi Arabian ships, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's exactly what's happening. Trump says that they will hold Iran accountable for Houthi attacks. He wrote, a year ago, the USA attacked very powerfully the Houthis for their interference with commerce and trade by shooting at ships. Since that time and during our conflict with Iran, they have acted very respectfully. Unfortunately, now they are starting up again, shooting at two Saudi Arabian ships last night. Please let this truth serve to represent that if they do this again, the U.S. will hold Iran responsible in that the Houthis are a surrogate and or proxy of Iran. And they are. How many times have we gotten the Houthis or Hezbollah to try to do a ceasefire because someone called Tehran to have it done? Many times, right? There's, again, proof that is their proxy. Anyways, and major military punishment will be inflicted upon Iran and, of course, the Houthis themselves, who I'm very disappointed with in that they have until now acted very professionally and smart. I would go, you know what you should do, Mr. President? You gotta get Saudi Arabia involved in this. Okay, they should absolutely take over Yemen, annex the country, and box everyone into a little corner, you know, like they do in Israel. Call it Gaza 2, you know, box them in. Next story. Rubio also had something to say about all of that. Here he says, foreign minister. Oh yeah, he's talking about the eye for an eye policy that they have against us. This is what Marco Rubio had to say about Iran's eye for an eye policy against us.
Rule out striking civilian infrastructure.
I think I saw, guys, I saw Arachi, their foreign minister, who the other day say or something about their policies, an eye for an eye. The president's policy is a head for an eye. I mean, honestly, that's what it's going to be.
A head for an eye, as in we are going to mouth fuck you. Yeah?
I mean, they will pay a very heavy price.
Oh, you mean, okay, got it. I head in the gutter.
For the things they're doing. They're already paying a very heavy price. You guys don't know it because you don't cover it. You're not in Iran. You're not in the street. They don't have a free media. But they're going to continue to pay a very heavy price. Their industrial base has been decimated. Their defense industrial base has been decimated. They're losing launchers. They're losing radars every single night. They are suffering billions of dollars in damage. And
he just stated they're losing radar every night. We have confirmation of that, by the way. Yes, the B-1 Lancer, guys, a plane that is not stealth, was working and bombing in Iran last night. Look at that. They sent an unstealthy plane into a enemy territory with lots of rockets. Yeah, which indicates what? It indicates that over the last 9 days, we destroyed all the radar again. At least all the ones that this guy flew next to. Because he came back. He's all right. He's having a good time. In addition to that, we also this is out in England, by the way. They're allowing us to use their military base again. This ship, this plane right here, looks very tiny. That is actually a modified Gulfstream jet, one of them business jets that all the snobs fly around. It's a modified version. The purpose of this plane here is for electronic warfare. It is essentially a flying EMP. Yeah, it has just arrived in England. It has been used recently in Iran, I believe 5 months ago, and it looks like it's going to be used again. We're going to watch a short documentary about this when we get over to Rumble, okay? Next story. Oh yeah, here's some details out of that little plane right there. Oh yeah, I already told you about it. It's made out of a Gulfstream jet. It's got a lot of cool, interesting little panels to the side of it. Next story. The U.S. is investigating whether Russia is providing targeting data or drone technology for Iranian strikes in the Gulf CIA facilities. Yeah, we already know that. The answer is yes. You don't need to investigate. Just call me. I'll tell you yes. Though the drones that Iran's firing are identical to the ones that Russia makes and fires at Ukraine, which is why Zelensky's anti-drone drones are so effective that he's able to sell them to Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Bahrain, because they're the same drones being blocked by the same drones. And that's why that was a drone of choice to purchase. They're not buying our anti-drone drones. They're buying Ukraine's anti-drone drones because those have already been proven to work to block as many drones as possible. But again, you guys want to... Oh, we need $1 million. We need $15 million to investigate this. Yeah, okay, I got it. Laundering, money laundering, got it. Next story. The State Department's offering rewards for justice program. They're offering a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to the identification and location of members of UNC 5792. That is a malicious cyber group associated with the Russian government. Yeah, guys. So if you're in Russia and you would like to make $10 million, you can rat these guys out. And we will give you $10 million. $10 million fulfilling dollars, right? Anyways, so by the way, this is probably why Kash Patel is headed over to Russia. Because again, he deals with these things, right? These cyber hacks and stuff like that. Next story. Secretary Rubin meets Russian FM Lavrov and says U.S. wants to play a role in ending the Ukrainian war. Yes, apparently they've already met. He's out in Asia. Rubio's out in Asia right now. This is they sitting together. This is posted July 23rd, early in the morning, which is late last night over there. Or I'm sorry, during the daytime over there. So Rubio posted this. It says, met today with Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of ASEAN Ministerial. We discussed the U.S.-Russia relationship and the need to end the Russia-Ukraine war. That is going to be tough now because Ukraine's winning now, and they are also stubborn. Yeah. Anywho, so we're also going to watch this press availability after Caroline Leavitt's White House presser. Okay, next story. In the UK, they ran a poll and found that only 6% of people would volunteer to fight for the country if an imminent invasion would happen. Yeah, of course. most white British Christian conservatives don't have a country anymore. They know it's not their country anymore. Why would you expect them to fight? Let me guess, you're going to forcefully conscript them like you did in Ukraine? Yeah, I got news for you. These Islamists, these Africans, these Libyans coming into your country and gang raping everyone, they don't care about your country. If it gets invaded, they're just going to go back to Africa. If your country gets invaded, they don't get free stuff anymore. Why would they be there? You think, oh, we're going to defend England for a debt of gratitude. No. That's not how it works. Okay? They're there for free stuff. When free stuff gets reallocated to the war efforts, they fucking leave. That's it. Okay? They're not interested in showing up to work in cold climate. They're hot-weathered people. They don't like snow. Look at the Winter Olympics. There's no blacks. Next story. Candidates from running... What? Oh, got it. The German state is they're starting to ban... what is this? Starts to ban? The German state... Anyways, the German government is banning the AfD candidates from running for office because they might win. Yeah. I like this idea. Can we ban the Democrats? Can we do that? I know the DSA is already supposed to be banned because they're communists, but they call themselves socialists so that they don't get banned. They're supposed to be banned. But there they are taking over the Democrat Party. You know, pushing policies that the Democrats supported all along. Now they're like, oh no, communism. You supported all the communism that was imposed on Republicans. Why are you surprised now that it's thriving? Stupids. What a dumb party, man. I swear to God. There's a certain point where selling out your country, there's diminishing returns at some point. At some point, you're going to have so many people that are demanding free stuff, you have zero productivity. And you've gone way beyond that now. You've got IT guys marrying women in other countries and then moving there and taking their GDP elsewhere while keeping the job in America. Huh. Great move, dummycrats. Anyways, Germany's going to be trying to do that. I'm sure they'll succeed. It is Germany. They are great at these things.
Und das heißt Erika.
Next story. In Nigeria, 12 more Christians were offed in the last 3 days alone. I'm sure that's way understated. I'm sure they just didn't count all the people. But yeah, they're still doing it, guys. The Islamists in Nigeria are still slaughtering Christians. And I wish we'd wrap things up in Iran and get moving to Nigeria already. Or how about taking all our troops in NATO and moving them to Nigeria? I think they would love it there. Look at the wildlife. Look how beautiful it is out there. Huh? I think they'll have a great time out there. And by the way, Trump admin is finally talking about it. Trump admin is weighing military strikes against Islamic terrorists in Africa. Oh, in Mali. So this is different from Nigeria. So we're already in progress in Nigeria. If you guys have not heard, we've already off like several terrorist leaders. But they're trying to do it. They're trying to do it in a most resourceful way possible. Off the leader and have all off the leaders of the terrorist groups and hope that the ones underneath them will fight for leadership. You know, and they sometimes do. That's how these color revolutions start. They also tried to do that in Mexico a number of times. So we should probably hear more news about Mexico soon because the World Cup's over. Everyone's gone back home. We should probably start seeing some more hits on Mexican cartel bosses soon. But yeah, this is Mali. Good stuff. Mali, by the way, is one of them countries that kicked France out. Yeah. So those Islamists are also slaughtering Christians in the region. Counterterrorism official Sebastian Gorka is reportedly urging action as Islamists grow more powerful in Mali. This comes after Trump previously launched U.S. strikes to eliminate Islamists who are slaughtering Christians in Nigeria. Not enough. Yeah, let's hope we get the. How are we gonna get cheap missiles made? I don't understand. We got to figure that out. We got to find a real trustworthy ally with the advantageous exchange rate to make our Tomahawks for us. We're not making enough in America. We only make 100 a year. Isn't that crazy? Next story. Some good news out of Africa. Ebola is now taking over 1,000 people. Yeah. That's 1,000 people who are no longer going to be able to slaughter Christians. Yeah. That number was 600 the last time we talked about it. This is specifically in the DRC. Yeah. So that is ripping through right now. Good stuff. Hopefully we can distract them from slaughtering Christians. Next story. Colombian President Gustavo Petro is challenging the election. He is suing in Colombian court to annul the results. Yes, he is doing it, guys. He's actually going to try to steal via the court system, which again might be very, very corrupt, just like Brazil's. And he might actually win this one. Very dangerous position right now here in Colombia. Sorry? Canada cancels a joint U.S. border bridge ceremony. Remember, this is the one that Trump shut down because Canada, you know, first of all, the funding to build this bridge was from both countries, but they gave the jobs to only Canadians. And on top of that, they're collecting tolls, and they kept 100% of the money. Trump shut it down until they agreed to give us half of it. Because we, after all, did fund half of it. We didn't get the job growth, though. We didn't get the GDP growth. They did. And they won't even give us half of what we paid half for. But now they are. The bridge is open, but because they're butthurt because we added a 50% tariff because of all the smoke coming in from their country. Because they're clearly trying to smoke out our World Cup. You know, Messi's now going to have respiratory issues for the rest of it. The whole Spanish team is now going to have respiratory issues thanks to the Canadian terrorism smoke. You know, we're going to need to collect tariffs to fund for their health care now, right? Yeah. So again, 50% tariff sounds about reasonable, but they're supposed to do some reopening ceremony, and they're like, "No, we're not going to do it anymore." We're upset. Next story. Carolyn Levitt sounded the alarm that congressional Democrats are plotting to shut down the government ahead of the 2026 midterms.
The stance is that the government needs to be funded. This president and Republicans on Capitol Hill from both chambers, as you just mentioned, the House and the Senate Republicans want to keep the government open. We want to work together to find ways to do that, and the White House will continue to have discussions with Senate leadership on the best path forward. I don't want to get ahead of those conversations, but the most important thing for the American people to know is that this president and this White House wants the government to remain open, unlike the Democrats in this town who have been acting as obstructionists. We've seen time and time again, they have chosen to block this administration, to block Republicans in Congress from keeping our government open, which does not help anyone, and it especially hurts the American people who depend on our government remaining open so they can access the critical services that our government provides to so many Americans across the country. So these conversations are continuing, but I think I just made the president's position quite clear.
Good stuff. We're going to watch that whole thing right now. Give me a second. We got another piece here. Carolyn Levitt was asking whether Trump would intervene in the arrest and what's it called? The extradition of the Tate brothers. This is her answer.
Is President Trump or the administration, do they have any plans to intervene in the extradition process for the Tate brothers?
No, we've already answered that question.
That's what you get for being chummy with Candace Owens. Anyways, before we go, we're gonna watch that whole thing right now. Give me 1 second. Something just popped up and it's kind of important. Cyclosporus is another outbreak, guys. Let's see.
The FDA is investigating a new potential outbreak of that severe stomach illness, cyclosporiasis. It's not yet identifying the location or source, but says that this cluster...
Ooh, it's all the way to the West Coast now. California, Washington, Idaho, and Nevada were not on that list earlier. Now it's nationwide, huh?
Includes at least 72 cases of the parasite.
Let me guess, we all need to lock down and get mail-in ballots for November. Is that what we're doing here?
Already seeing...
Yeah, if you guys want to avoid this, just avoid raw vegetables, raw fruits, and imported bottled water, okay?
Cases hit a record across the country in 41 states. More than 11,000 people have now gotten sick.
11,000! It was just 6,000 last week. It doubled in 1 week. Wow.
Typically in a given year, there are around 3,000 cases, and we are only now about halfway through the season for this. The FDA did link at least 1,600 cases to Taylor Farms iceberg lettuce from Mexico, served at Taco Bell locations in five...
No. That's been, the FDA recalled that. It is not just Taco Bell. It could be from anywhere. We have no idea where it's from now. But it was a false positive. They tested it. It came up positive. They announced it. And then they tested another batch and another batch and another batch. And all the subsequent tests were negative. So it is not from Taylor Farms. It might be from Taylor Farms. It's just, not consistently from them, right? But it could be anything. So I would just avoid all that stuff for now.
Farms, iceberg
unless you want mud butt.
lettuce from Mexico served at Taco Bell locations in 5 states. That's been recalled. We spoke with Chase Strangino in New York, who said that he was one of more than 40 people who got cyclosporiasis after eating a boxed lunch with lettuce at a corporate event. He said that he was sick for weeks. When untreated, symptoms for this can linger for days or even weeks, but thankfully, antibiotics can help clear this up, guys.
Oh. Anywho. We got more to watch. We have the the White House presser with Carolyn Leavitt. We have a press availability with Marco Rubio. Then we're going to cut off YouTube. We're going to go to Rumble. We're going to watch several things. We're going to watch a documentary about that flying EMP plane. And then we have today's episode of Asian Women Are Awful is they interview a bunch of Chinese men who are married to Chinese women, and they talk about how awful they're treated, and then they wish they never got married and things like that. It's bad. It's bad. I keep telling people how awful Chinese women are. And by the way, in America, the Chinese women have infected other women in this country, and that's why you're seeing such insufferable women in this country as well. They all get it from the chins, okay? So we got that. We also got Joshua, an episode of Joshua talking about Republicans using a new tactic in election security. I don't know what it's about, but he's usually really good at his deep dives. But before we start that, guys, remember I've got other channels to follow. Frank's Show Clips as well as Frank's Funny Shorts. You can find us on the main page. Thank you to those who've been hyping videos on his main channel here, but if you could please hype him on that channel, Frank's Show Clips. When you only get 3 hypes per week, and if you hype a small channel, it gets more points. That channel gets 2,000 points per hype. This one gets 100. So don't bother hyping videos on the big channel here. Hype the small one. Thank you very much. Cash App, buy me a copy, subscribe to on Patreon. No ways you can support the channel if you like, or you could be like Gen Extra and Becky and buy a membership. It's only $3 a month. It helps keep the channel alive. You can also do that over on Rumble, like Jillian and Josie, and it's $5 a month there, but you get access to our Rumble Premium Hangouts where we talk about food and pets. Thank you to everyone over on Foxhole as well. Thank you, Sweetly, for the donation there. Thank you, and thank you for that. And then also, thank you to, I think Ina, I already said thank you to Ina, but I'll thank her again. Oh, Curious Cat, meow, meow, meow. Thank you very much, Curious Cat. Thank you. And thank you, Ina. Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's get started with this watch party. Here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you here today. Good morning, Gabe. We'll begin today with a few scheduling announcements. Later this afternoon, President Trump will welcome the Los Angeles Dodgers back to the White House to celebrate their 2nd consecutive World Series championship. Tomorrow night, the president will attend the White House Correspondents Association Dinner Round 2, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment alongside all of you, members of the media. The president looks forward to finishing what he started before a despicable assassination attempt derailed the original event back in April, as we all know. And I encourage everyone watching tomorrow night to tune in for what promises to be a very entertaining and memorable evening. Looking ahead to next week, on Monday, President Trump will travel to Michigan to deliver remarks on the economy. On Tuesday afternoon, the president will deliver a tribute honoring the life and legacy of his dear friend, Senator Lindsey Graham, at the National Cathedral. And next Friday, the president will host the 13th cabinet meeting of this term at Camp David, which will be a lot of fun and something different for the cabinet to experience together. Turning now to the economy. A little more than a year after President Trump signed the Working Families Tax Cuts into law, this historic legislation continues to deliver on its promise, unleashing a genuine boom for American workers, families, and small businesses. The numbers speak for themselves. This was the biggest tax refund season in American history, with the average refund exceeding $3,400, an 11% increase over the last year. American families and workers claimed $82 billion in direct tax relief, and 97% of filers received a tax cut. More than 29 million workers claimed no tax on overtime. More than 35 million seniors claimed no tax on Social Security. And nearly 8 million workers claimed no tax on tips. Thanks to the other pro-growth provisions in the Working Families Tax Cuts, like making the 20% small business tax deduction permanent and delivering 100% expensing for new factories, equipment, and research, the Trump administration is setting up American manufacturers and workers to thrive like never before. Just this week, the National Association of Manufacturers, which is the largest manufacturing association in the country, released a detailed report showing exactly how these tax cuts are driving investment, job creation, innovation, and long-term growth in all 50 states. In fact, I'd like to take a moment to highlight just a few of the real American businesses that this law is helping. Pivot Manufacturing in Arizona made the largest equipment purchase in company history after the Trump tax cuts gave them the long-term certainty to invest with confidence. Winton Machine Company in Georgia is on pace for the best year in its history. Ketchy Inc. in North Carolina was able to purchase new machinery and expand its workforce by 25%. And Juergens in Ohio expanded its brand new facility to increase production. And they're also paying their workers even more thanks to the no tax on overtime provision. These are not just great statistics. These are American businesses with the confidence to grow, hire, and invest right here at home rather than offshoring their jobs. And a business opening or expanding in this country means more opportunity and higher wages for American workers. It means a chance for the American dream for young families, and it means restoring the belief that we can make and build things right here at home. This is what President Trump promised, and it's exactly what he is delivering with the help of Republicans in Congress. Democrats throw around the word affordability a lot, but when they had the chance to vote for the largest middle-class tax cuts in history, they refused. If Democrats got their way, it would have meant the largest tax increase in history, $4 trillion. 90% of Americans would have seen their taxes go up, and it would have been a complete disaster for our economy. That's the Democrat solution to, quote, affordability. It is raising your taxes. So I hope the press will cover more of the massive success stories resulting from the working families tax cuts and point out that every single Democrat on Capitol Hill voted against every single common sense provision that put more money back into the pockets of the American people. Finally, on the energy front, after this briefing, President Trump will participate in a historic ratepayer protection pledge event at the EPA headquarters down the street. The president will expand the ratepayer protection pledge to governors, state legislatures, developers, and power providers to ensure that everyone involved in building and powering data centers pays their own way, instead of passing those costs on to hardworking families. The president will be joined by Energy Secretary Chris Wright, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and several governors who have already signed on to this pledge. And it has already proven to be remarkably successful. Nearly 200 additional stakeholders have signed on since it was first announced, including utilities, data center developers, public power authorities, co-ops, and state governors. As a result, the pledge now covers 80% of all the power delivered to American homes and businesses. President Trump's bold leadership is turning data centers from a source of concern into engines of growth and opportunity for communities across this country, all while cementing America's dominance over China in the global AI race. The president is ensuring the American people are never left footing the bill so private companies can benefit. Instead, President Trump is leveraging the data center boom to deliver real, tangible benefits for working families and small businesses. So we have a busy day here, rest assured. I'll take some questions. And here in our new media seat, we have Cam from Town Hall. Cam, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you. Two quick questions. One on Congress. First off, Speaker Mike Johnson passed a continuing resolution earlier this week. John Thune has said he wants to work with Democrats to find a way to fund the government. What is the White House's stance on the best way to keep the government funded?
Well, the White House's stance is that the government needs to be funded. This president and Republicans on Capitol Hill from both chambers, as you just mentioned, the House and the Senate Republicans want to keep the government open. We want to work together to find ways to do that, and the White House will continue to have discussions with Senate leadership on the best path forward. I don't want to get ahead of those conversations, but the most important thing for the American people to know is that this president and this White House wants the government to remain open, unlike the Democrats in this town who have been acting as obstructionists. We've seen time and time again, they have chosen to block this administration, to block Republicans in Congress from keeping our government open, which does not help anyone, and it especially hurts the American people who depend on our government remaining open so they can access the critical services that our government provides to so many Americans across the country. So these conversations are continuing, but I think I just made the president's position quite clear.
Thank you. And then on the Saudi the Saudi Arabian nuclear deal. What steps is the U.S. taking to get Saudi Arabia to sign the Abraham Accords?
Sure. Well, the president himself has spoken on this many times. His Truth Social post this morning, and I will read it for those at home who missed it. The civil nuclear deal, there will be no enrichment of material, an important point being made between the Department of Energy and Saudi Arabia, which pertains only to non-military use, will be approved, but is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. The United States is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities, as we all know. Look, this is a condition that the president has spoken about many times with our Gulf and Arab allies. He wants to see these countries sign the Abraham Accord. It was one of the most historic accomplishments of his first term, and it continues to be a long-term goal of his to expand those accords to ultimately come to a place where the Middle East can be a peaceful and stable region. And yes, this deal with Saudi Arabia, the energy deal, is contingent on this condition as far as the president is concerned. So we'll continue to talk with our Saudi counterparts to get the deal finalized and hopefully see them joining the Abraham Accords very soon. Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. With regards to the Saudi nuclear deal, why was that condition not mentioned yesterday when the Energy Secretary announced the deal?
Well, look, the president is always the final deal maker, as you know, and this is something that he has mentioned on numerous occasions going back. I can provide you with those statements, and he has said if they don't join the Abraham Accords, the deal is off. So we'll continue to have those conversations with our Saudi counterparts moving forward.
So the deal is dead if Saudi Arabia doesn't join. And have you any indication that Saudi Arabia is even considering this?
Again, the president has spoken directly with the Saudis about this in numerous conversations in the past, and the administration will continue to engage in those conversations. Alexandra.
Be exempt from international inspections as part of this deal if it moves forward?
I don't want to comment on the specifics of the deal as we're still, again, as I just said, talking especially about this very important condition that the president raised this morning. Alexandra.
So good to see you now that you're back.
You too.
So Treasury Secretary Bessent voiced concern this week on China potentially distilling or stealing AI technology from the United States, kind of manipulating it as their own. Anthropic said that the largest distilling attack happened last month. Do you think this will come up when the president meets with President Xi in September?
Well, I have had the honor of being part of some of the meetings and discussions between President Trump and President Xi, and I can tell you there is always a wide range of topics that come up. I would imagine this would be something. It's of high importance to the president and of this administration to obviously ensure that America remains dominant in the AI race, and we're obviously tracking the particular situation that you mentioned.
I have one more, if you don't mind. This week we've seen some major players in Democrat politics voicing or alerting really on how much influence socialism, communism has had now on kind of mainstream Democrat politics. Is there any chance that the president would be interested or is considering working with left of center Democrats to push back on this?
Well, unfortunately, we don't seem to have too many of those left in the Democrat Party. We have literal self-proclaimed communists who are winning elections and who are claiming to be the new leadership of the Democrat Party. I think the vast majority of Americans understand the dangers of communism. Just look at countries all over this world. As an example, Cuba right now is a country that is about to be a failed state because of the communist policies of the past several decades. Communism should never be allowed to lead this country, and the president obviously is strictly opposed to it and all the dangers that it reaps. We've seen it happen across the world. Meredith.
Just to continue on the Saudi nuclear deal, do the Saudis agree with this interpretation since it wasn't part of the initial agreement? And has the president talked to MBS since this new condition was announced?
As you know, the president just put out this statement a few hours ago. I don't believe he's had a call with MBS in the hours since. However, this is something that he has raised in previous conversations and has also said many times in the past. John, in the back, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. In regards to this deal, in the past, the Saudi government has said they will not consider entering into the Abraham Accords unless and until there's a Palestinian state. What makes you think that they're going to change their minds on their position regarding that?
Again, I won't get ahead of the president's conversations, but this is something that he feels very strongly about and has spoken about it in the past and will continue to uphold.
Can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
Just playing devil's advocate, why does Saudi Arabia get a civilian nuclear deal, but Iran doesn't get a civilian nuclear deal?
Well, again, this agreement is still being worked out. It will eventually, hopefully, be finalized with the condition that the president spoke about this morning. But this agreement in particular, as it's been discussed thus far, does give priority access for American companies in the Saudi nuclear energy program, which will ultimately benefit American industry workers and supply chains. So the deal that has been discussed thus far and will continue to be discussed absolutely puts America first, and that's obviously very important to this president. Ed.
Thanks, Caroline. So Friday, the Section 122, the 10% global tariff, goes away. Is the president going to ask Congress for an extension, or what's next?
Well, I know the USTR, our great Jameson Greer, trade representative, will be having an announcement on that very soon, later today. I don't want to get ahead of him, so I would just tell you to stay tuned for more details.
Okay, and then one more on the president's going to have some big utility companies at this event later on today. We're now a year and a half, so to speak, into his energy policies. Is he going to pressure those executives to lower energy prices, not just maintain the prices?
Well, look, as I mentioned earlier, the Ratepayer Protection Pledge is a novel idea drawn up by this president and his team to ensure that data centers in communities, where those communities want data centers, that these big CEOs and energy companies are picking up the tab for the energy costs in these communities, so the American taxpayer not being fronted with those bills. And the pledge today is being expanded to acknowledge all elements involved in building and operating data center, the governors who appoint the state regulators, who set the power prices, the utilities and the co-ops that sell the power, and in addition to the tech companies that have already signed the pledge. So you'll continue to hear more about that from the president in a few hours at 2:30 when he goes over to the EPA. Sophia.
Have you spoken to the president about what he wants to do about Chinese AI models if they are found to have stolen American IP? Does he want to sanction them? Or what actions can be taken without undermining broader U.S.-China trade talks or cutting off American startups that are increasingly reliant on them?
Sure. Well, I won't get ahead of the president on any potential actions, but obviously these conversations are taking place, and again, they're of the utmost importance, not just for our national security, but to ensure America remains dominant in this space. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Has President Trump spoken with FIFA President Gianni Infantino about his interest in nominating him for UN Secretary General? And can you explain his interest there? And secondly, just a minor point of clarification on the Saudi nuclear deal. Did Prime Minister Netanyahu request this provision?
Not to my knowledge, no. Again, as I told you, this was an idea the president has long had. It was the president and his team in the first term that began and signed the Abraham Accords with several countries in the region, between those countries and Israel. And the president obviously wants to expand on that historic accomplishment from his first term. To your first question about Gianni Infantino, I don't know if he and the president have discussed that. I haven't been present for all their conversations. I know they speak quite frequently, and the president has a lot of respect for Gianni and what he has done with FIFA. As we all just saw, the World Cup was a tremendous success here at home. It not only was hugely beneficial to our businesses and our local economies across the country, but I think it showed that America is the greatest country on earth, and the president is grateful to Gianni for all of the efforts that he had to make that dream a reality here in the United States. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Is President Trump or the administration, do they have any plans to intervene in the extradition process for the Tate brothers?
No, we've already answered that question. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Mullen said that election officials that knowingly allowed non-citizens to vote could be prosecuted and fined. Is this option being considered in New Jersey after the governor revealed that thousands of non-citizens were registered to vote there?
Well, for any prosecutions, obviously, I would always defer you to the Department of Justice. But what I will say on New Jersey and this governor, the fact that she just all of a sudden decided to put out a press release saying President Trump and Republicans have been right about non-citizens on our voting rolls is not a coincidence. I think this governor is saying this because she realizes this administration is serious about getting to the bottom of illegal aliens voting and being on our voter rolls in our country. The Secretary of Homeland Security, as you know, sent a letter to several states, including New Jersey, requesting that non-citizens that are on their voter rolls need to be reported to DHS and need to be removed from those voter rolls. So that's why all of a sudden she is speaking truth about the fact that this does take place in states across the country. It is completely unacceptable to have non-citizens on American voter rolls voting in U.S. elections. And she says it's 6,600. We suspect it's a heck of a lot more, not just in New Jersey, but in states across the country. The president is hell-bent on getting to the bottom of this, and it's also why we need to pass the Save America Act to ensure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. And I understand the House had a great accomplishment yesterday with passing the budget resolution, which has as much of the Save America Act as possible, and we encourage the Senate to move forward with passing that resolution into law so the president can sign it into law by the August recess. It's of the utmost importance to this president, but also to the American people who support this bill overwhelmingly. Mary in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. One on Sophia Cunningham and then on self-driving cars.
Sure.
Sophia Cunningham in the WNBA has been attacked as a MAGA Barbie for saying it's common sense for men to not be in women's sports and locker rooms. Is the president following this story, and has he reached out to her?
I don't believe he has reached out to her. I know he is following the story. As you know, this is something the president feels strongly about as well, and the American people do too, that men should not be playing in women's sports. It's completely ludicrous that anyone could support that. It's even more ludicrous that you do have Sophia Cunningham, a female athlete herself, very accomplished in her own right, coming forth and speaking that truth that men shouldn't play in women's sports. We want to protect women and girls, and the backlash she is receiving from Democrats and left-wing figures across the country is astonishing. They are clearly very out of touch with the American public on this issue, which again is an 80-20 issue. It's common sense. It's rooted in basic biological fact that men should not be competing against women on playing fields across the country.
Thank you. And then really quick on self-driving cars. There's legislation right now to ban China's self-driving car technology from U.S. roads. Does the White House have a position on this? And broadly, how does the president feel about self-driving cars himself?
Well, you know, the president did have a red Tesla here at the White House for quite some time, so he's a supporter of them. I know he's purchased some self-driving cars for his family members, his grandchildren, so I think he supports them and Americans who want to drive them. But with that said, I don't know about the specific legislation. I will check in with our Legislative Affairs Office and we'll get you a statement on that. Reagan.
One question for you on Thune and then one on Darlene Graham. The president seemed yesterday frustrated with Leader Thune when he was speaking in Georgia. Is his patience running out with Leader Thune? And then the president recently endorsed Darlene Graham right after her appointment to Senate. What caused him to endorse her so quickly?
The president met with Darlene and thought she will be a great representative for the great people of South Carolina and will carry on her brother's legacy of public service in that beautiful state. So the president is fully supportive of Darlene and her honorable decision to run and, again, to continue her brother's legacy. With respect to your first question on, remind me?
Leader Thune and if his patience is running out.
Look, the president spoke about this directly yesterday. His patience is running out. He wants to see as much of the Save America passed as possible by the August recess. He knows that's what the American people want to see passed. He was just traveling on the road yesterday, spoke about this, and there was a very loud applause from the people in the audience, the everyday Americans, because voter ID is common sense. They want proof of citizenship in our elections, and the president feels very strongly about that. And I would just add, you know, the American people elected overwhelmingly Republicans to lead not just this White House, but also the House and the Senate. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do its job, too. I know it's a brief briefing today, but you're going to hear from the president directly twice today at 2:30 and also at 4:30. And we will see you all tomorrow night at the Correspondents' Dinner. Thanks, guys.
All right, now we got Rubio's thing. Here we go.
All right, what's up?
Have you made any progress on Ukraine today? Is Russia serious about peace this time?
I mean, you think we settled the war in Ukraine in our 30 minutes in there here in Asia? That's not the way it works. Look, we had a good conversation, a frank conversation. I'm going to tell you what we talked about because these diplomacy doesn't work well when you run to the microphones afterwards. Suffice it to say, I'll tell you what I told you yesterday. The United States, the president's been clear that we want, if we can, we are prepared to play a constructive role in bringing about an end to a senseless war. And we're ready to do that. And we, of course, expressed that, and we've expressed it in other means. So we talked about other things as well, though.
Did you talk to him about Russia sharing information with Iran targeting U.S. troops?
Well, who says that they are?
Are they not?
Who says they are?
Hegseth acknowledged that Russia was enabling in some ways, Russia and China.
Yeah, but that's a different question from what you just asked me. Who said that they're doing
There's
that?
been reporting that there's
Reporting in the media?
Yeah.
Oh, then it must be true.
So is it
It's
not
in the
true?
media. It's a leaker. I'm not going to, let's imagine that were true. I certainly wouldn't discuss it in the press. I've already told you guys yesterday something, and I was very clear about it. Nothing that Iran is doing, nothing that anyone's doing to help Iran is in any way increasing their ability to target Americans. What you need to all understand, because we've explained this repeatedly, is Iran has spent the better part of 20 years not just sponsoring terrorism, but building long-range rockets, short-range missiles, and drones. And they were intending to build them a lot more. They were intending to double their stockpile of the stuff you're seeing them use now. They were going to double that. And they were going to use that and hide behind that to say, we're untouchable. We can now do a nuclear weapon, and you guys can't touch us or we'll overwhelm your air defenses, which is why the president had to address this threat. And he did, and he should have. And other presidents should have done it earlier. The world will be a safer place because we addressed it. Unfortunately, in the short term, it creates disruptions. But you know what's really disruptive? A nuclear weapon in the hands of these radicals.
In Ukraine, do you sense that the momentum is shifting a little bit in the conflict? And if so, does that manifest itself?
I think it's a bloody war. I think it's a very bloody war. I think, Russia's now suffering strikes deep in their territory. That's something you didn't see. At the end of the year, the winter's still going to hit Ukraine, and they're, obviously going to have to defend their airspace. People suffering every day. I think it's the only conflict, I've been told, it's the only conflict that anyone in the military can recall where the killed in action rate is higher than the casualty rate. That's how bloody it is. The Russians, I believe, are losing upwards of 5,000 to 6,000 soldiers a week. That's a staggering number.
Does Lavrov sort of express that? Or
well, look, guys, when I have these talks, these things don't work well unless I come out here and characterize what the other side is saying. Suffice it to say that I think it's obvious to everyone that this war is very bloody. And look, Ukraine's paid a tremendous price as well. We've seen, civilian deaths, strikes in Kyiv. We've seen some of that increase. Certainly, this war has not been good for Ukraine either. So I think both sides should have an incentive to bring it to an end. That's been the challenge, is an end that both sides can accept. And we've tried and we'll continue to try to see if we can, find a middle ground that brings this about. And we're prepared to play that role. The opportunity presents itself. We expressed that today, and we've expressed it in the past.
Mr. Secretary, the Russians launched live fire drills in the Taiwan Strait.
Yeah.
And apparently used water cannon on Philippine vessels near Scarborough Shoal.
Yeah, those are two separate incidents.
Two separate incidents, right, as your Chinese.
Yeah, look, they know where we feel about those issues. Obviously, we publicly expressed ourselves on the missile launch. It's a destabilizing event. And what's happened with the Philippines, obviously we saw that too. The whole world saw it, and it's disturbing, and these challenges and these claims of sovereignty over territory are a growing challenge. It's why we continue to reiterate our commitment to our treaty partners, but also our commitment to freedom of navigation and respect for territorial rights in the region. And it's one of the cornerstones of our engagement in the Indo-Pacific, and especially via ASEAN. And I made that point in every forum that we've had here.
So President Trump, he said on Truth Social that the U.S. is going to bomb and destroy a bridge or power plant every time that Iran targets a ship in the Strait. Is he talking about civilian infrastructure there? And do you think that is expected?
This is what he's talking about. Iran is begging us, okay, both directly and indirectly. Let's do a deal. Let's talk. Iran is begging every day. The problem with Iran is every time they make a deal, the people that are in charge there, they either break it or they want to change it. So it looks like they're not ready to make a deal. So they're going to continue to pay a price. And every night the price gets higher and higher and higher. And that's what's happening now. And until maybe in a few days, they'll be ready to make a deal once they realize that this is not a winning proposition for them. And that's what the president is outlining. The idea that this is going to continue, it's not going to continue this way. The price will continue to get higher every single night until they come to their senses. Right now, apparently they haven't come to their senses. And so the president doesn't see a lot of utility in responding to their overtures at this point, because frankly, Iran is clearly not ready to make a deal, at least not one they're willing to live by.
But is he talking about
Secretary,
infrastructure,
yesterday you were
bridges?
saying you were hoping that there would be de-escalation in the Red Sea, and the Houthis now attack two Saudi ships. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, look, I hope that they'll stop. They shouldn't really do that. They got suckered into this by the Iranians. The Houthis largely were smart and stayed out of all this throughout the conflict, but they now apparently have gotten themselves suckered into this, going after Saudi Arabia and their ships. And by the way, that's, I was reading reports a few hours ago that there is actually a Saudi fuel ship that's flagged Chinese. It's a Chinese ship. Are they going to blow up the Chinese ship? And this becomes a problem for China. This will become a problem for the whole world. But I hope that will de-escalate because I think the Houthis, frankly, got snookered into this thing by the Iranians, and they were smart to stay out of it, and they should stay out of it, and they should stop. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, it's not a positive development. We'll see what happens.
Secretary, what prompted the easing of...
I'm sorry, man. I love his little court reporter thing. It's cool. Why didn't the rest of you guys have this? This guy's the smartest guy here.
He's
Look
a
at that.
trendsetter.
I know he is. You better catch up. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, what prompted the easing of sanctions on Hong Kong last week in terms of letting the executive order expire?
Yeah, no, there was an easing of sanctions. The executive order expired. The conditions underlying some of those elements no longer existed. There remain other individuals that remain sanctioned nonetheless, despite the executive order is a partial expiration on certain individuals, but not on others. It just depends on the light of it. And the justification and rationale behind that original executive order had the circumstances had changed in the president's judgment. But there are individuals, there's still a significant number of individuals in Hong Kong that remain sanctioned that were not covered by the executive order, and that remains in place. And obviously that was raised with us yesterday, but we don't see a change anytime in the near future on that.
Mr. Secretary, the Russian readout of your meeting also once again mentions Anchorage proposals. Can you please clarify what those proposals are and how relevant are they today?
Yeah, I mean, there was no, proposals, we know they've been reported about. They call it 3+2, the trading of terror, but those failed. You can't have a peace deal unless both sides agree to it, and the Ukrainians would not agree to it, and so that's why that effort didn't work. So we'll have to find new suggestions and new ideas, because certainly that one, it was not acceptable to Ukraine at the time, and I don't think it's acceptable to them now either. In fact, it's probably less acceptable to them. So, when peace comes, it'll be because of some new idea and some new concepts. And we're prepared to offer some of those in the right setting and forum if the opportunity presents itself and the conditions are right. We're prepared to play that role in a positive way.
Will the president make a strategy in assisting Manila in terms of putting more strategy in terms of the EDCA sites, in terms of freedom of navigation operations? Will you be conducting more of that soon?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're a treaty ally. I mean, the United States and the Philippines have a treaty, and so we'll live by that treaty. We're committed to supporting our treaty partners, and obviously we've already done quite a bit. In fact, there was a U.S. Coast Guard vessel in the region at the time that this happened, and actually helped stand between the two sides and allowed the individual who was injured to be rescued and brought back for medical treatment. So we're already here, we're already present, we have a role, and we're not going to abandon our allies. We've made that abundantly clear. We're going to have a good relationship with China. Okay, these are the two most powerful economies in the world, two large militaries, two nuclear powers. We have to have a relationship with China. We want it to be as positive as it possibly can be. But that won't come at the expense of our allies and our partners in the region or our presence here either.
Sir, it's been a day since we asked you about the Saudi nuclear agreement. Have you had
Well, let me refer. No, but let me refer you. I know that was in the press the last few days, but let me refer you back. I think it was in November of last year when the Energy Department entered into this agreement. So the details are there. Obviously, even when the official announcement is made, it will have to go through a congressional notification process, and then we can talk more in depth about it. But suffice it to say that the U.S. is always looking agreements with allies. I mean, Saudi Arabia is a strategic partner of the United States, and I think, without speaking in specificity about that deal, but in general, we're not the only country in the world that offers nuclear technology. And when countries decide they want to pursue a peaceful civil nuclear program, we'd prefer them do it with us than do it with some other country. It allows us to have influence over the direction that it goes. It allows us to make sure that there are safeguards in place, things of this nature. And in the case of Saudi Arabia, they've been an important strategic partner for us, so it would make sense for us to enter into such an agreement. But obviously the details of it, once it's released, you'll see it, you'll be able to understand it, and more importantly, it'll go through its congressional review process, which is a key part of this, so there'll be a lot more questions answered at that time.
Would you be comfortable with Saudi Arabia enriching and reprocessing uranium?
I'll let the agreement speak for itself. Suffice it to say that any agreement that we're going to make with any country in the world on civil nuclear energy is going to be one that will have safeguards in place to ensure that it can't be turned into a weapons program. And one of the best safeguards is to make sure that American technology and American companies are the ones that are involved in doing it. If, on the other hand, a country pursues nuclear technology with another country, well, then we don't really control those safeguards. So, again, Saudi Arabia seeks to have a peaceful civil nuclear program. Other countries do as well. We have a similar agreement in place now with the UAE, and U.S. companies are the world standard in providing that. And so we are always looking for opportunities, by the way, not just in conventional reactors, but in small modular reactors, which is an area that we are increasingly around signing MOUs all over the world to help do as well. To countries that are exploring civil, peaceful nuclear energy, the United States wants to be their partner of choice, and we're always looking for opportunities to be able to make sure that our technology and our companies are the ones that are providing that. Does anybody over here have questions? Because this side is really lopsided. Go ahead.
The U.S. put sanctions on China's Moonshot AI for apparently distilling.
I don't have any announcement on that today. Go ahead.
The Saudis agree to the additional protocol. It's sort of the gold standard. And if the administration is trying to stand up to say that non-proliferation is a problem in the Middle East, shouldn't that be the barrier?
Any agreement that we would make on civil nuclear energy with Saudi Arabia or any other country is going to have safeguards in place to ensure that those cannot ever be turned into a weapons program. I mean, that's the gold standard. And obviously, we live in a new era. There are competitors that we face, so we'll have to adjust individual deals to that reality. We're not the only show in town, but we're the best show in town. But we want to make sure that it's our companies they're picking. So again, we understand any deal we enter into with any country will have to go through a congressional review process. And so we will ensure that in order to get congressional approval, we're going to need to have those safeguards in place, whether they're structured differently how they are from other deals in the past or not will depend on the individual deal.
On Cuba policy, you said in recent...
I'm in Asia. You're asking me about Cuba. It's far.
But you said yesterday you're the main guy on Cuba policy, so we should ask.
No, I said I'm most involved. You guys were somebody asked me a question about people that are involved in Cuba policy, right. So no one's more involved in it than me, so go ahead.
This is a good question for you. So you said in recent months that the economic system can't improve unless there's a change in the political system. But you've been very vague about what that change in the political system will entail. Can you give us some more details? With the Communist Party stay in power, but a different leadership, with the Castros still be in power?
So you want me to give you details on our plan?
Yeah.
Okay, not today. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you this. No, here's what I told you, and this is the truth. The people who are in charge of the country don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't know how to fix their economy. They don't know how. They don't understand basic concepts. And I think the challenge that Cuba has faced for the last 15 years is they want to somewhat improve their economy, but they're afraid that if they improve it too much, they'll lose political control over people. That's the challenge that they face. So I think for us, we're looking for an opportunity to influence the direction that goes, because it's 90 miles from our shores, and we want Cuba to be prosperous. We want Cuba to be free. But in that sense, on the level of detail you're asking me, suffice it to say that as long as the people that are in charge think the way these people think and act the way these people act, it's going to be difficult for them to make the changes that need to be made in order for Cuba to have a better future, because they just really they don't understand it. Some of them are incompetent, and some of them just basically don't understand, and others are just so recalcitrant that they'd rather destroy the country than ever walk away from a failed ideology, although I think the number of people in that category is less than it's ever been. But for the most part, it's just people that don't know what an economy is supposed to look like. They really don't, and because they've always relied on foreign sponsors. That regime has survived on subsidies from the Soviet Union and then from Chavez. This is the first time they don't have a sponsor that's giving them subsidies for free. And they don't know what to do with themselves, because all they've done is freeload off these countries for all these years. The people of Cuba deserve better than that. Did you have a question? Somebody, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the appropriate defense spending for allies like Japan and the Philippines?
What is my opinion on
defense spending, appropriate defense spending?
Well, we've communicated that to them. But look, at the end of the day, I still think that these are partners and allies, but we want countries to assume more responsibility for their own security. And for the most part, I think the countries in this region agree. And the U.S. will continue to do its part. But by the same token, we're now, in many cases, dealing with advanced and wealthy economies who have the ability to spend more on their own defense, and they should. I think the primary responsibility of any government is the national security of their country. So, but I don't think it's a point of conflict between us and the region. Yes.
Secretary of South China Sea, are you looking to at least step up this support that you've mentioned, especially near the Ayungin Shoal, where the U.S. Commission BRP Sierra Madre is stationed?
Yeah, look, again, we have a treaty agreement with the Philippines that we intend to keep. We have a treaty agreement that we intend to live by. And we have had a long-standing defense partnership. We don't view that as a hostile act towards anybody. We view it as keeping our commitments to long-term allies with whom we have many shared values, shared history, and we hope shared future.
Venezuela, you said that next month, I think, they're going to start this transition
First week of
talks.
August, yeah.
Yeah, between the interim government and
The 2015 Assembly.
The 2015 Assembly. Is there going to be a direct role for Maria Corina Machado and her opposition movement that won the...
Well, that's up to the Venezuelans to decide. I'm sure she can play a role if they allow, if they want her to. The 2015 National Assembly is the government that we recognized up. That's the government we had recognized up until these changes when we have these interim authorities. But we think it's a really good development. In the end, I would say that in order for Venezuela to have the reconciliation that country requires to move forward on all these other projects, every element of Venezuelan society needs to be represented. And obviously Maria Corina represents an important element of that. I mean, she's got supporters there and people that are supportive of her. And there are others as well. But a reconciliation process, we are there to facilitate it, not to dictate it. And we will certainly provide guidance and support in the direction that it moves forward. We think it's important for the country to do that. And there's a lot to work on. I mean, if you think about in a country like that, that's been under a regime now for 20 to 25 years, political parties have to transition from being street protest movements to electoral forces. You have to have a free and open press so you can communicate it. You have to have an electoral council that will actually accurately count the votes. You have to have enough security in the streets to ensure that the ballot box is safe and people aren't being intimidated. There's a lot that goes into an election. Then creating the infrastructure for an election that really was not invested in for a very long time, and in some cases they were hostile towards. So there's a lot of change to happen. But what it requires is patience, persistence. We have to stay on top of it because these transitions do take some time. They don't need to take a decade or even 5 or 7 years, but they take more than a few weeks, especially when you're dealing with something that's been in place for 25 years, unfortunately, for the people of Venezuela.
There's some prominent Republicans who have said they want you to take over the Iran negotiations. They trust you. They think that you will prioritize Israel's interests, and they're attacking Vice President Vance.
Who are these prominent Republicans?
Senator Xi, the Wall Street Journal opinion page. There's people.
Well, that's not Republican. That's a newspaper.
Well,
you're a troublemaker with these questions.
It leans right
no. Look, guys, listen. Here's the bottom. You know who the lead negotiator is? His name is Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. That's who dictates our policy. He has a team of people that work together on this. We all have a role to play, depending on what the topic is. We have very good negotiators in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. We have the Vice President of the United States, which is the second highest ranking official, which tells you how the importance we give in this file. Obviously, I have a role to play. The Department of War has had a role to play. That's how we approach it. This doesn't, I mean, it's a combined effort, and it always should be.
Do you wish people didn't endorse you to take over the talks yourself?
I mean, you're telling me about that, but that's not how our system works. That's not how this administration works. It starts at the top. The president is in charge, and he has a team of people that provide counsel and provide advice, but ultimately whose job it is to execute on the president's directive. We have a great team that works very well together. On that topic, we will work well together on a number of topics. We work together as a team on Lebanon. We've worked together as a team on Venezuela. We've worked together as a team on the Thailand-Cambodia peace agreement that was put together. We've worked together as a team. We have a really good core team that works on foreign policy and national security. And oftentimes it's a multi-agency effort because there's a role for Treasury to play. Sometimes there's a role for energy to play. That's how these things work. It's not one person. It's all these different elements of our government that have to work in conjunction and in concert to execute on the president's directive and on the direction that he's giving us.
Mr. Secretary, Secretary, you've argued that the ICC threatens the sovereignty of the United States and its allies. How do you reconcile that position with the need for an international mechanism to hold perpetrators of war crimes and crimes against humanity accountable?
Well, here's how I reconcile it. We're not members of the ICC. We never signed that treaty. We never joined it. And they somehow claim that they have a right, nonetheless, to go after non-treaty members and put heads of state and others in jail. We've long had quarrels with them, and we have lunatics and crazies involved in the ICC that are talking about charging members of the U.S. military, maybe even the president or a future president, with crimes. And it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We are not members of that court. We never signed on to that treaty. They need to understand that. If people want to sign on and be a part of that stupid organization, they can. But we're not going to be a part of it, and they're not going to apply their jurisdiction to Americans. That's just not going to happen. We're not going to tolerate it now or in the future, and we've warned them about it repeatedly. And now they're going to see the consequences of ignoring us.
Mr. Secretary, can I come back to Ukraine, please?
You want to go back to Ukraine? Oh, as a question, you're saying.
As a question,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And you're meeting with Mr. Lavrov. The Russian Foreign Ministry issued a statement saying that Mr. Lavrov told you or asked you or said to you that the U.S. needs to stop arming Ukraine. What was your reaction? And there's a statement. They said that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know what their statements say. I know what happened in our meeting. At the end of the day,
what did you say?
Well, first of all, the U.S. position on it is we sell arms.
Yeah.
We sell arms via Pearl, which is an initiative we have through NATO. And that's what we're involved in. There's been no change to our policy in that regard. We want a peace deal. We want the war to end. Yeah. We're prepared to play whatever positive role we can to end the war. And that, in order to end this war, will require something that both Russia and Ukraine can agree to. That's not going to happen at a press conference. That's not going to happen in one meeting here in the Philippines. That's going to require a lot of work. We've invested in the past in it. It was unsuccessful, or at least unfruitful at the time. If conditions and factors have changed to make that possible, we're ready to go. The President's committed to that, and every single day, that if we identify an opportunity to make a difference in that, we will. Because in the end, what the President most cares about is not the stuff people are, well, here's what he most cares about: that people stop dying, that people stop being slaughtered, that Ukraine no longer, you can go on and live in peace, and Ukrainians can move back to their country and rebuild it, that young Russians aren't being killed at the tune of 5,000 a week in the battlefield. He thinks it's a stupid war. He thinks it's a senseless war. And if we can play a role in bringing it to an end, we're going to use the power and influence of the United States to do so. And we're prepared to do that if the opportunity presents itself, and I hope it has, and I hope it does. And that's what we've communicated consistently, to both sides, by the way.
On that line, Mr. Secretary, you said that you are open for new ideas. Now that you met with Lavrov, are you and the President prepared to sit down with your counterparts, Ukrainian counterparts, if they visit Washington next week for the funeral?
Well, I don't know if they're coming next week or not. I think President Zelensky had expressed an interest in coming. We've met. I mean, we just saw. We'll meet with them. We've met with them often. We talk to them often. In fact, we saw them 2 weeks ago in Turkey. I would argue we've probably met with the Ukrainians far more times than we've met with the Russian side, and I'm sure we'll meet again in the future, whenever that is. We're always open to meeting with them.
On Trump's statement about the bridges and the power plants, just want some clarification. Do you rule out striking civilian infrastructure?
I think I saw, guys, I saw Arachi, their foreign minister, who the other day say or something about their policies, an eye for an eye. The President's policy is a head for an eye. I mean, honestly, that's what it's going to be. I mean, they will pay a very heavy price for the things they're doing. They're already paying a very heavy price. You guys don't know it because you don't cover it. You're not in Iran. You're not in the street. They don't have a free media. But they're going to continue to pay a very heavy price. Their industrial base has been decimated. Their defense industrial base has been decimated. They're losing launchers. They're losing radars every single night. They are suffering billions of dollars in damage, and their economy is a disaster. But despite all that, okay, these people who are calling us every day, begging, let's do a deal. They send us messages through other countries, third countries. I mean, they're running out of countries to send. Even I had countries here coming up to me, oh, I just spoke to the Iranians. They want to do a deal. The problem is, every time these people do a deal, they either break it or after they make it, they want to change the deal. So they're probably not ready to do a deal yet, but they will be soon because the price they're paying is very high despite their tough talk and their flowery language and their stupid Lego videos they put out. I've never seen them, but they put these things out on social media. Despite all that bravado, they are suffering tremendously, and they're going to suffer more until they come to their senses. They're not there yet, unfortunately.
Which countries came to you?
Oh, I can't tell you who told me that. I mean, then I'd be betraying the confidences. There's some of them that are here, yeah, and every day I get a text or a call or a signal message from a foreign minister. Oh, so-and-so called me. The Iranians want to talk. The Iranians want to talk. But the problem with these guys, and in addition to the fact that they're probably fighting with each other, is they make a deal, they agree to something, and then they decide, oh, let's change it after they made it. Or they agree, or they decide, oh, I know we made a deal, but we're going to violate it. I mean, these people, unfortunately, they aren't ready for a deal. I think they'll be ready soon, though.
Do you think there's going to be a big escalation by the United States in the coming days?
That's the President's decision to make. They're going to pay a price. They're already paying a price every single night. I mean, you can't do the stuff they're doing for free. They're going to pay a price.
On Russia and Ukraine, did you talk with Wang Yi about any influence that China might be able to exercise to help bring that war to an end?
We didn't discuss in our meeting. No, we didn't discuss Russia and Ukraine. We had a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Secretary, did you discuss with Wang Yi the issue of technology and whether that will be on the agenda for the September leadership?
Well, that's a broad topic. Technology, like what?
AI,
what do you mean?
AI
oh, AI. Yeah, look, I think that they've expressed they'd like to see some global governance about what AI is governed by. Obviously, I'm not sure we're aligned on that point yet, but that topic has come up. I think they've expressed an interest in discussing what the rules are going to be for how AI is used in the future. And I think that's going to have to be an international conversation. So, we have some ideas about what that should look like and what those standards should be, and maybe they're different from theirs. But we didn't go into great depth on that topic. But it's an issue that came up in Beijing as well.
Just final point on Iran. What is Iran's offer? Is diplomacy running out of time?
With Iran? I just don't think they're serious about making a deal. These guys, I mean, the more the president's gotten to know them, the more he's come to that realization. I mean, he said it yesterday, I believe. He gave a speech in Georgia. These guys, the problem with them is you can't make a deal with people unless they're going to keep it. And these people make deals and then they break it almost immediately. Or they decide, oh, let's change the deal. That's not how deals work. I mean, they violated the MOU.
That's funny. Look at that. That's something I've always said, and he looked right at the camera when he said that. Listen to this.
That realization. I mean, he said it yesterday, I believe. He gave a speech in Georgia. These guys, the problem with them is you can't make a deal with people.
Bam, right there. Look at that. You can't make a deal with people who are not, like, whatever he said. Anyways, here we go.
Well, unless they're going to keep it. And these, the problem...
You can't make a deal with people unless they're going to keep it. Just like I said, a signature is only as good as the person who writes it.
With them is...
Bam! Right at the camera as he says it. Look at that.
You can't make a deal with people unless they're going to keep it. And these people make deals and then they break it almost immediately. Or they decide, oh, let's change the deal. That's not how deals work. I mean, they violated the MOU within days of it being implemented. We kept our end of it, so now they're paying the price for it. And maybe they'll change their mind here over the next few days as they continue to suffer great losses.
Mr. Secretary, you know the Senate better than most anybody. They're debating the new military policy bill right now after the House passed it. One of the more controversial topics is about fusing the U.S. and Israeli military when it comes to co-production on things. Do you have any sovereignty concerns about that? If there are situations where the United States wants to send weapons, Iron Dome came up with Ukraine when the Israelis...
You asking about NDAA? Yeah, I mean, that largely the Department of War manages that legislative portfolio, so I'm aware of the provision you're discussing that involves cooperation on technology. And look, at the end of the day, the truth is we do that with countries all over the world, right? I mean, if somebody... Well, I haven't read the specific provision in terms to tell you in detail. I understand that... I understand the topic, though, because it's not new. You know, on air defense, for example, we've long cooperated with the Israelis. Look, if we have a breakthrough in our system or they have a breakthrough in theirs, we could share that in a way to improve our own systems as well. So if they've come up with some novel way of defeating drones, for example, of course we would want to have that and benefit from it. By the way, they're not the only country in the world that we would do that with. We do that with other countries as well. So I think that's the provision you're referring to, and that's something we're already doing. I mean, that's something that already exists. But I don't think there's any, that's different from sovereignty. I mean, it's not like U.S. forces are going to come under the command and control of a foreign general or anything of that nature.
But when Ukraine was asking for Iron Dome, the United States and some lawmakers, including Lindsey Graham, wanted the U.S. to send Iron Dome battery that was in the East Coast. Netanyahu vetoed that. That was the co-production.
Yeah, but anytime you enter into co-production, we have those restrictions too. I mean, if we provide weaponry to a country, as part of an agreement, they can't transfer that to a third country without our approval. We do the same thing. And Israel's not the only country in the world that does it. Other countries do it with their systems as well. That's just a normal way. When you do arms sales, part of the restrictions is you get to veto them passing it on to a third country. That's not just us to do it or Israel, it's every country.
Is President Trump coming to Manila for the ASEAN Leaders Summit in November?
I think he'd like to. I don't know what the schedule looks like, yet. I can't commit him to that trip because I don't control his schedule, but he was there last year, and I think that's something that we're going to talk about. It's an important forum, and I think APEC is a few days after. So, but I can't make scheduling announcents for you today.
Secretary, would you rule out running for president in 2028?
Do what? I'm not answering president questions. Come on, guys.
Do you think this visit has eased concerns about declining U.S. engagement in Asia?
Are there eased concerns about our engagement in Asia? I mean, we're engaged in Asia every single day. I mean, obviously, this is a conference. We're here. We're participating. But we're engaged in Asia every single day. The Department of War is present all over Asia. The Department of State and our embassies are involved every single day in Asia. We have strong partnerships and economic ties to multiple countries in the region. Virtually every country represented here in ASEAN is someone that we deal with every single day. So there's a lot of competing interests in the world, so I think there's always going to be a concern that America is so focused on one place that it can't focus on another. But one of the great things about our country is that it is a large, powerful country. It has the ability to be present in the Western Hemisphere, in the Indo-Pacific, in Europe, in Africa, in the Middle East, and anywhere else where our interests are vital, including the Arctic, by the way.
Do you think it would be easier to make a deal with Iran if the United States didn't wipe out so many layers of their leadership? Trump often mentions that they're on the third tier now. Do you think it would be easier
to do what?
To make a deal?
Well, I think the first two layers weren't necessarily the nicest people on earth. So I don't think that, we'll just keep going down the layers, I guess. But I don't. The first two layers were not like reformers. These were not like Renaissance men. You know what I mean? So I'm not. I don't think that the layers are the issue here. They're just look. The system is at the end of the day, it's a country run by radical clerics. I think they have political people in their system. I wouldn't call them moderates, but they at least understand like that hyperinflation is bad, high food prices is bad, gas shortages are bad. But I think when you get to that clerical level, these guys are just oblivious to all of that, and they're destroying their country. These are the people. Understand, Iran is a rich country. Iran could be the richest country in the Middle East if they want it to be, but instead, they take their money and they use it and they give it to Hezbollah, they give it to Hamas, they give it to the Houthis, they give it to Shia militias, they give it to sponsor terrorism all over the world, they give it to try to kill people all over the world, they build drones and missiles and pursue a nuclear weapons program. That's what they spent their money on. If they had spent their money on their people and on their economy, today, Iran could be probably the richest country in the region, if you want to know the truth.
Is the U.S. seeking a regime change in Iran or just change in its behavior?
I think the U.S. is seeking a denuclearized Iran that will never have a nuclear weapon. The future of Iran, that's obviously, it would be easier to have people in charge that don't want nuclear weapons. But in the end, that's our interest. Our number one interest and the threat they pose to the world is these lunatics in possession of a nuclear weapon. And that's not going to happen, not as long as Donald Trump is president. I don't know if some future president, or I know some past presidents have made some bad deals, and others just haven't dealt with the problem. But our issue and our concern and our focus is denuclearizing Iran. They can never have a nuclear weapon. I don't know how many times the president has to say
this
that.
group of people who you describe as lunatics, I mean, if they decide to make a deal, the United
Well, some of them are
States is
lunatics, some of them are evil. Some of them are evil lunatics. You can be both.
So the United States is okay, comfortable leaving these evil lunatics in place.
They just can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I mean, imagine what they would do to the world.
What changed between now and the beginning of the war when the president made it sound like that was not going to be the case, that regime change was one of the goals of the war?
No, he never said a regime change was a goal. From the very beginning, like from day one of the operation, it was very clear that we were going to degrade their missile launchers, their drones, and their factories, and their Navy. Their Navy no longer exists. There is no such thing as an Iranian Navy. What they have left is a handful of Boston whalers, but they don't really have they don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. Their air defenses are crushed from the very beginning. Now, what the president has pointed to is the fact that the people of Iran deserve better leadership, and they slaughter their own people by the thousands. They shoot them in the head, they slaughter them in the streets. Yeah, we don't like that. I mean, we don't think that's good for Iran, but our goal and our national interest in Iran is they can never have a nuclear weapon, and that's what they were going to try to do. If they had been able to hide behind double the number of missiles, double the number of drones, that's where they would have been in about a year had they continued on the pace of construction. Even though their economy was suffering, even though their people were suffering, that's what they were spending their money on, even though they had sanctions. The money that was coming in, they were spending it on those things. That tells you everything you need to know about them. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks. That one?
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we are going to... we have more to watch. We're going to watch a documentary about the EMP plane. I thought that was pretty awesome. And then also we got an episode of Asian Women Are Awful. This one, they actually interview Chinese dudes who have Chinese wives, and they'll tell you all about how awful they're treated and how awful Asian women are and how much they regret getting married to a Chinese woman. And then the last one is going to be an episode of Joshua. It's titled Republicans Use New Tactic for Election Security, and it's apparently a roundabout way to do the SAVE Act. So that should be pretty interesting. We'll see you guys over there. We can't do watch parties on YouTube, so I will see you on Rumble. Have a great day if I don't see you over there. See you tomorrow if you don't make it. Goodbye, YouTube. Have a good one.